MHD1 Holly Springs.
Williams sets. Here's the pitch. Swinging a fly ball to right field. Pretty well hit. Freeland back at the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career. Pumps his fist as he rounds second. It's a 3-run homer. He's given the Mets a 3-2 lead. They all pour out of the dugout. Alonso on his way to home plate. They're waiting for him. He hits the plate. He is first congratulated by Nimmo. Hugged by Lindor. There are a dozen Mets waiting for him outside the dugout. Pete Alonso keeps this fairy tale season going with the fairy tale swing of his career. 3-2 New York.
Hi, it's the Adam Gold Show. Something happened last night?
Yeah, there was overtime in the football game.
Yeah, that was actually wild. Tampa refused to win that game.
Exactly.
They were
like, no, you really take the ball.
They were offered,
yeah,
and declined.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. That is Victoria, and yeah, that happened last night.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I've discussed this before. There are, I've been a rabid sports fan since since I can ever remember being like alive.
That's why we do what we do.
Right. I remember watching games legitimately when I was like 3. I can recall, where I was watching not a specific game, but watching Mets games. And as a kid, I was a Mets fan. No joke. Mets fan, Jets fan, Knicks fan, and I became an Islanders fan when they were born, essentially. Expansion team in like 72, 73. I had friends who were Rangers fans, but I spent a lot of time on Long Island, so we used to go to Islanders games all the time. But the only of those 4 teams that I grew up with, the only team that remains and that I will never rid myself of, I will never cleanse my emotional, attachment to, the Mets. That's it. I've gotten rid of the Jets. The Knicks are, I think I'd rather see them win than not, but it does not bother me when the Knicks lose, mostly because the Knicks have been horribly run.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Mets have too. But it's the one thing that I will never give. I will never give up. And I've obviously become a rabid Hurricanes fan.
Yeah.
Right? That has taken the place of the Islanders. I had left the Islanders a long time ago, but I became a Hurricanes fan.
It's a great team to be a fan of.
And by the way, Rod Brind'Amour will join us in a little bit. And for those people who know, lately I have become
a Panthers fan. No, I'm just
no,
kidding.
Definitely not that.
That's me. Never
I have
mind.
become a Liverpool supporter. As a matter of fact, Sarah from Mix, her son was here.
Yes.
Wearing a Real Madrid shirt.
Yeah.
The Los Blancos, the white, the home kit. And so I said, sorry for your, they lost two days ago to, in an upset to, I believe, Lille in Champions League, second week of league phase. And so I just said, sorry about your loss. And Sarah goes, oh, he's really a Liverpool fan. And I'm like, yeah,
nice.
All right. We started talking about players and whatnot. Sarah was wearing a Man City hat. He also likes Man City. I'm like, all right, well, I didn't get into it, but we have to have a conversation.
There's,
it's hard to be. I can respect Man City, but I'm not a fan.
Kind of, you can't be fans of both.
No. It's not like if you're a Liverpool fan, you can't also be a fan of Manchester United because that's the real rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
But I can respect City, but I ain't a fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Mets are still it to me. It's been a rough go. last few years.
No, they were almost done last night.
Even last night, but spent a ton of money over the last 2 years. I mean, even the payroll this year is over $300 million. It's the highest payroll in baseball. And they weren't getting anything out of it. But I went into this year not expecting much. I think the Vegas win total was like 82 wins, so Vegas didn't expect much either. And they got off to a really bad start. And then from June on, they became a team that I did not recognize. I didn't watch a lot. I just followed it. I just kept up with who was doing what, and they just kept winning and winning and winning and winning, and all of a sudden they make the playoffs. Of course, they needed to win Monday, and then Monday's game was ridiculous because, I mean, the fact that the Braves took the lead, then the Mets roared back. Braves had the lead. Mets scores 6 times in the 8th inning to take a 6-3 lead. Then they give up 4 runs and go behind 7-6 and then win it. 2-run home run, top of the 9th, and then hold on just to make the playoffs. So that was amazing Monday. But last night, after not giving away the game, Milwaukee came back and scored a few runs in the 8th inning in Game 2 and won that game to force a Game 3. Then the Mets are behind 2-0 going to the 9th inning and have done nothing at all game. Francisco Lindor had a leadoff double in the game and didn't leave second base. And the Mets really didn't have anything that amounted to a real scoring threat until the 9th inning. And then it was walk, strikeout, single, 3-run home run from, I know it's going to sound like this is crazy, from a very unlikely source. Pete Alonso has won a couple of home run derbies.
Yeah.
And he has hit a ton of home runs for the Mets. He is the 3rd all-time home run hitter in Mets history.
A lot of frustrating fans on Twitter were like, go back to the Derby.
Right.
That's all you're good for. Well, worked yesterday.
and, I mean, whenever the season ends, it could be the last time he plays for the Mets because he's a free agent after the year. I think the Mets, in their heart of hearts, would have traded him at the deadline, but they were like in contention for the playoffs, and they couldn't tell their fans, we want you to come buy tickets. And they were playing well. And Alonso, while not a huge part of their playing well, he certainly wasn't necessarily awful. He just wasn't a stud for them. It was all about Lindor and a couple of other players. Anyway, without belaboring the point too much already, when he hit the home run, I was more, did I just see that? In my lifetime, there have been like 3 times, like not games, but 3 times where the team that I root for more than anything else is considered clutch or team of destiny. And I don't believe in teams of destiny, and I don't think that's what's happening here. But there is something about this team that is clutch. I think it's a lot about the shortstop, Lindor, who's the MVP of the rest of the league after Shohei Ohtani takes the award.
Yeah.
But Alonso has never been that guy. If this triggers a hot streak, I think the Mets are going to win the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
If it triggers a hot streak for him.
Yeah.
Because I think the other guys will be fine.
I mean, look at the Tigers. Momentum's helping them.
Again, give me New York, give me Metropolitans against the Tigers in the World Series. I'm here for it.
I feel like the Mets fan base is growing, or maybe they're coming out of the woodwork more now that they're doing well.
This
I don't
happened
know.
in 2015 too. I swear to you, it happened in 2015 too. I didn't even know who was a Mets fan. All of a sudden, wait, you're like
you are too.
We talked to Gary Parrish, CBS.
Yeah,
right. Gary Parrish is a Mets fan. Jason Sobel on golf.
Yeah,
he's a Mets fan. Greg Wyshynski, Puck Daddy, he's a Mets fan. I'm telling you, we're everywhere. We're like ants.
I guess so.
Yep.
And somebody just dropped something sticky and sweet, and now everybody's coming out.
Piece of watermelon on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Look at all the Mets fans.
Oh, what's that?
Exactly.
Yep.
So last night was just super fun. A lot of people just either added me on Twitter. I obviously had friends texting me. Thank you.
Nice.
It was one of those evenings that I'll never forget. Good for Pete Alonso.
That's fun.
Team deserves to be where they are. So I feel bad for the Brewers. I do.
Sort of.
Brewers are a dynamite team. Their future is awesome, but it was I don't know. Don't try to sneak a change up past Pete Alonso in the ninth inning with the tying runs aboard.
Probably a bad idea.
All right, let's go. I'm sorry. I still have adrenaline.
No, you should. You should.
I still have adrenaline going.
Because you talking about like how moments like that don't happen a lot just took me back when the Cubs, my team that's
16.
not in the playoffs, 2016 when Addison Russell hit a grand slam to force a Game 7. It's just like moments like that when you look at it and you're like, oh, what?
Right. But just to like piggyback on it, the previous year you could see what the Cubs were about to do, right? You could, because the Mets had to beat the Cubs to get to the World Series, so you could see what Chicago was going to be all about, right? And I think we're seeing that with Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I think we're seeing a team that plays a certain way. That, man, this is going to sting because you had it. But I think there's a great future for the Brewers, a dynamite future for the Brewers. All right, let's get to it. It's a revenge tour weekend in the NFL. Although what's interesting is that the revenges are being visited. They are not like on the road. Panthers are at the Bears, where the worst trade in franchise history will be staring at and smacking the club in the face for 3 hours. So you've got two starting players, one on the Bears offensive line, one in the secondary, DJ Moore, the second pick coming next year, and Caleb Williams, who may or may not be a plus at this point, but Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the what went the other way in the trade to the Panthers isn't even playing in Bryce Young. It would have been a horrible trade even if Bryce Young was okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's
too
still
much.
a bad trade. Well, it's not that it's too much. That's the going rate. But it's a bad trade because of when it was executed. If you had a better team and executed that trade, let's just say this season, right? Same particulars in the deal. If you executed this trade this season, same trade, even if Bryce Young isn't good yet, yeah, okay, that's fine. At least you have a better team. No, they made themselves markedly worse.
Yeah.
And gave away other assets. We
gave away the weapons that he needed to be successful to get him, so we got nowhere.
So bad. It's such a bad trade. Panthers fans, and I will just ask this question, and you are a Panthers fan, Victoria.
I am, unfortunately.
In 2009, they traded a future first-round pick to move up in the second round and draft defensive end from Florida State, Everett Brown. Mm-hmm. That was a bad trade.
It was.
Because Everett Brown was no good. Mm-mm. So you traded a future number one for a second-round pick who turned out to be bad.
Yep.
The following year, you traded a future, I think, second-round pick to move up in the third round and draft Armonte Edwards.
From App State.
Right. Would have been okay if you drafted him to keep him a quarterback.
A quarterback instead of a wide receiver. Yeah.
Moved him to a position he couldn't play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't.
Mm-hmm. Make it make sense.
Those two trades seem savvy compared to what they have already done.
Right.
The other revenge tour is Buffalo playing at Houston, where Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs can say hello together to each other before the game. So I am curious, will there be a conversation about recent comments that Allen made about, it's cool, his team, everybody's just on the same page. Like, are you talking about Stephon Diggs? No, I love Stephon Diggs. Of course he's talking about Stephon Diggs.
Who else is he talking about?
Why would he bring it up?
Yeah.
It's okay.
We'll see. The comments could come after the game. I think the result will definitely determine.
We'll see there'll be a camera shot of Diggs and Allen before the game saying hi on the field.
Right.
Saying all the right things. Look,
we're friends.
Hey, they might be.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that Allen wasn't making a point, because it did appear to outsiders that Diggs was upset because his role seemingly was diminished. He didn't have a good year last year. Look, I didn't have him on my fantasy team, but if you had him on your fantasy team, you went, man, Stephon Diggs is not having a good year. Allen wasn't ignoring his best receiver. There's a reason why Stephon Diggs didn't have a good year. Hey, sometimes you don't have a good year.
Yeah, it happens.
Right? Yes, exactly. Couldn't have said that better. All right, we have other games to deal with. Jets and Vikings in North London, 9:30 kickoff. I'm not sure if it's a derby or not, because the Jets and Vikings are not really rivals.
Right.
But we do have current Jets quarterback taking on former Jets quarterback in Sam Darnold.
That's true. And at least their colors aren't gang-related where they're at, so it's safer.
Oh, really?
Because remember the Packers and the Eagles? They were in Brazil, and green is a bad color to wear in Brazil.
But do we know that for
it's
for
facts.
Fact?
It's a soccer-related thing.
No, in North London. I'm trying to think.
Oh, if purple or a green is.
Yeah, I don't think there are certainly no purple teams in the Premier League, and there are no green teams.
No.
In the Premier League, although some teams like Man U last year in their alternate kit, their third kit, was dark green. Liverpool has also worn a green before. They had a green and white away kit last year. But there are no teams in the Premier League with a primary color of green or purple.
Yeah.
Those are normally goalkeeper colors.
Right.
Whatever. Ravens visit the Bengals. Think about the ramifications of this. Baltimore's 2-2, right? Cincinnati is 1-3. Now, if Baltimore beats Cincinnati 3-2, Bengals 1-4, but what if also the Steelers beat the Cowboys? So now we're 5 weeks into the season. Cincinnati could be 3 full games behind Pittsburgh in the division. It's also it's a huge game for Baltimore. I mean, you don't want to put yourself in a position where, like, home field advantage, forget about, being the number 1 seed. I still think that's ultimately going to be Kansas City. But you don't want to put it, like, in jeopardy of being the 2 seed, right? You want to be able to have that second game on your field, if you can. If you're the 3 or the 4, your 4 is definitely going to travel.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
But if you're the 3, more than likely you're traveling, so you don't want to be in that situation. You want to get that second playoff game on your field. So it's a big game for the Ravens to not fall too far behind. It's a big game for the Bengals, really just for playoff implications for them. And I mentioned Dallas-Pittsburgh. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to make yet of either team. I don't think Pittsburgh's great. They won their first 3. They got beat by the Colts and Joe Flacco and the Colts, so take that for what it's worth. But Dallas is so underwhelming and banged up. Remember, I mentioned yesterday that I thought Micah Parsons was hurt. High ankle sprain's going to be out for a little bit. They said he's week to week. I can't imagine he plays on a high ankle sprain. And if he has a high ankle sprain, even if he plays, he's going to be limited.
Yeah.
But DeMarcus Lawrence is out. Like, they're banged up, and their offense is just okay. And Pittsburgh's the wrong team to be playing when your offense is just okay.
Pittsburgh wins ugly games, and Dallas Cowboys make ugly games. So this matchup is very interesting.
Yeah, it's all crazy. All right, we got to get to the head coach of your Carolina Hurricanes. Time to check in with Rod Brind'Amour. Rod Brind'Amour, in year 7, do you treat the preseason games the same way you treated them in year 1?
Nope.
How have you changed?
Well, I think year 1 I was more concerned with results because I wanted to, you want to have a little more of a buy-in. And I think when you have results, it's just easier to accept your message. And so, even though it is a process, it's when you see the results, then it's easier to just, say, hey, this is going to work. So we were definitely changing things. Year 1 it was a whole new way to kind of think it. And so I was really hoping that, and it did in our preseason. In year 1, I thought we had good results. So
oh yeah,
that was important. More the score almost than this time around. It's more about making sure we're getting everybody up to speed and get their game feeling good about where it's at when we start next week.
Is it easy to do? Or I have to imagine it's harder to do that since this is only the second game for the Ahos and Jarvises and Natchez and Svechnikov, Stalls, even Martinook.
Yeah.
This is only the second game. So how do you judge where they are? Or I guess you do it after tonight.
Yeah, well, you trust them. I mean, I have talks with them, how many games you need. Things that when I played never really got discussed and wished that they would have had and said they made you play 6 of the 7 games or whatever. And it's like, uncle on that. So, these guys all work so hard in the summer and, you got to trust that what they tell you, how many games they need to be ready, and that's kind of how I base it. Is
that like the biggest change in the last, say, 20 years in that most players, and not all, because just from our conversations here before games, you have intimated that not everybody has arrived tip-top, but that most of the players, especially the star-level players, seem to get to camp and they are in great physical condition, so you don't have to get them into shape. Is that the biggest change in the last 20 years, you think?
Probably. It started even before that, but I would say, certainly with our group, they take a lot of pride in what they do and how they do it, right? And so when they come to camp, they've already put the work in, and now it's, you do need the games to get the rust off and get game. There's nothing like playing a game at our level, and the pace is just that much harder. And you can try to replicate it in practice, it doesn't happen. So the way I always looked at it was that there's a game you need to play to get the dust off, then there's a game to play to kind of get your timing and feel good about, okay, I'm ready to play. So 2 is probably the minimum number for your guys, and that's probably what most of these guys will get.
Yeah, I can't imagine you're taking any of these guys, any of the top guys, to Nashville with you tomorrow. So let me ask you about the top 9. In your mind right now is how we're going to see them tonight. Roslovic playing with Aho and Jarvis, KK with Natchez and Svechnikov, and the Stahl line. In your mind, is that basically that's how you're going to start the season?
I want to really get through this game and then have take a breath and kind of look at it and go, okay, what do I think, and what's best for the group. But 1 game wasn't really enough to judge much, and so 2 should hopefully give us a little better feel. And then how this goes with the lines.
I know
it's very, very subject to change. Maybe you're hoping 1 line for sure stays pretty consistent. But really, the other 2 for sure are probably going to be flipping around a little bit.
All right, let me ask you this, because now Jackson Blake is playing again, so this will be his fourth game in the preseason. And I think Blake has been impressive. I think there were some mistakes along with everybody else on Wednesday night against Florida, but I also think he did some good things. And when you consider Blake, I don't know what his chances are of making this team. Probably still not great, but playing tonight, says something. And if he makes the team, does that change how you fit everybody in?
Well, potentially. You're right. Well, listen, he's the only young guy playing. I mean, Morrow's playing, but it's because he hasn't played yet.
Right.
And so, but Blake's kind of earned that look, in my opinion, and yours too. And so, that's why he's in there. And again, we still got another game tomorrow, but let's kind of, temper everything until I get through it. But he's definitely he's showing well, and that's why he's in this game.
All right, Scott Morrow's in. Jalen Chatfield is out. Is there anything that we need to know about Jalen? I haven't seen anything that he hasn't been that he's been banged up. But is it just to get Scott some time today?
Yeah, he needs to get playing. He was banged up a little and missed. Hasn't played. So we only got 2 games left. So we gotta see what we got there. And he had a good summer of work. So let's see what Again, you got to see it in the game. So that's why he drew in.
Yeah, he was one of those guys who I know spent some time here in the summer. Real quick, to the 2 goal scorers from the 2 young goal scorers from the game on Wednesday night, Felix Ungersorm and Bradley Nadeau. Those flashes are what opens everybody's eyes. What did you see from those 2 guys?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think in Nadeau's case, he's got a real good shot, obviously, and kind of saw it in rare form there the other night where, that's the kind of situation that you need a guy like that, and he's got a rocket. So he put that in the net. And obviously, I think, he's young, and we've still got to be careful about that, but he definitely has a lot of potential. And then Felix the same boat for me, just a young kid that's, opened a lot of eyes, but I think, probably needs a little bit of time here to really see what he's all about. But he's showing really well, and we talked about already. We've thrown him in a new position, and one of the hard positions to play, and he's getting better all the time. So, again, we're excited about those young guys for sure. Is it this year? We'll see, but definitely in the future.
All right, well, good luck tonight against Tampa, and we will talk to you soon. I appreciate your time.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Rod Brind'Amour, and when we come back, another of my favorites, Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News on the state of college athletics and more. We might even talk about his Steelers next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
For the first time this season, we are actually seeing what I believe the Panthers truly are. They weren't as bad as they were in week 1 and 2. They aren't as good as they were in week 3. They kind of are what they are in week 4. They're a team that is young. The defense is going to regress from last year, but with Andy Dalton, the offense shows a little sign of progress.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Let's get ready for Week 5 proper, and it's a very big weekend because we have games in all 4 broadcast windows. Wait a second, what do you mean 4 broadcast windows? That's right. Morning, Jets and Vikings at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Then you've got the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and evening game on Sunday Night Football, and FanDuel is going to get you started. New customers, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make every moment more this season. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
With all these new winners at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club, we need to decide who's in charge.
We need a top prize winner.
We need someone who's good with words, like us crossword winners.
If elected leader, I will extend the hours during which all winners can use the diamond-encrusted hot tub.
Nice.
New scratch-offs mean new winners. This month's tickets are packed with $370 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.04 to 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Hey, John. Why so glum?
I just got let go.
The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
I'm sorry, I'm blown away by the music. It's great.
Sorry.
Great track.
I love this song.
I'm here. I'm here for it. Feel like it's the best of the 70s.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here. Yeah. It's the Adam Gold Show. How are you? Hope everybody's having a good day. Happy Friday to you. You haven't said Friday yet. I can't believe it. It's all right.
Oh, I only said that to Rod.
Oh,
I did say I hope he was having a good Friday.
I'll get his reaction later. I'm Adam Gold. That's Victoria. I've been talking about this all week. I want to find people. I think I know people who are as frustrated with the way of the college sports universe as I am. And to a certain extent, I think Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News probably shares some of my frustration. Maybe I'm more over the top than most people. Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News is joining us. And I thought of you. We have some football things to get to. I thought of you when it was announced that Gonzaga was going to join the Pac-12. And all I could think of was, why in the heck would they join that league, which has no prestige now except the name?
Right.
But then again, I remember that, it's really just St. Mary's and maybe University of San Francisco. So it's not like they're leaving anything amazing behind. They are leaving their culture, I guess, behind. So what were your thoughts when Gonzaga jumped to the Pac-12 to be in the same league as Boise State?
Well, I think that what is missing here is that they have sold a arrangement, let's say, that has elevated them to national power status. That arrangement has helped them earn 5 number 1 seeds since 2013, 2 national championship games, the longest consecutive Sweet 16 streak in modern NCAA tournament history, tied with your neighbors, North Carolina and Duke.
Okay.
And all of that has been achieved in this arrangement where they are members of the West Coast Conference. They have St. Mary's as a somewhat of a rival, certainly a challenger.
Yeah.
But they have dominated that conference for 25 years. And that has all worked to get here. They are going to get paid, or they apparently, I mean, I don't know where it's coming from because there's still no television deal.
It
but
assumes
they
the
have been
Pac-12 gets
promised-
paid.
Yeah. They have been promised basically a doubling of what they, at least they have reportedly been promised.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Reportedly been promised a doubling of what they receive in broadcast/media rights currently as members of the WCC. So the problem I have with it is this, Adam. When I complained about the fact that they're messing with something that has been nearly flawless, I was told they are preparing for a post-Mark Few world.
Okay.
Not by anybody official, but that was the
Sure.
justification.
It's not going to coach forever.
So if you get a worse coach than Mark Few, which is what the odds on would say because he's one of the best ever,
Right.
then you are struggling to compete in that league. How is that better? If you get the same level of coach or better, which again is pretty long odds, but let's say you pull it off, then why would you need to mess with what has worked for you for 25 years for a few $1 million? I just don't see that as being the right move for them on any level. What's going to happen over the next several years is that they will play more difficult league games than they have ever before. And they will get not a whole lot more reward for those games than they're getting now. If beating the standard WCC team is a C-, okay, then beating the standard new Pac-12 team will probably be a C+. But it'll be a harder C+. It'll be a C+ in advanced calculus rather than a C- in sociology of sports, the greatest college class of all time.
Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News is joining us here. What'd you get in that class, by the way?
This was the best part about it, Adam. When it was all class participation.
Ah, beautiful.
And we talked about sports issues. Everybody in the class hated me, and you know why.
No. See, I wish I was in that class with you. We would have done group projects together.
Then I would have had a rival.
We would have.
But even my now wife was in that class and couldn't stand me when I was in that class.
Wow, you've come a long way. Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. All right, let's get to the other issue. I'm sure this would have come up in that class. Greg Sankey was actually on a podcast talking about this yesterday, and he basically said, yeah, everybody wants to be like us. And he was talking about the ACC and the Big 12 and all of that. Well, it's not up to me. It's up to them to get to us. So the reporting is that the Big 10 and the SEC are going to demand 4 automatic bids to the next college football playoff. And I've been thinking about this for a long time, or at least in this way. And this has done nothing to change my opinion that I don't think Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti love college football. I think they hate college football. I think they love money. I think they love power because nothing they have done has done anything other than line their pockets, which is their primary job. I get it. But there's a podcast out there. I know you haven't listened to it yet, but I'm starting to, called Who Killed College Football? I think those two guys are going to be suspects in who killed college football, not because of the game, but because of the landscape.
Well, let me say this. I think the college football landscape has been an absolute disaster for a century. It's been a joke.
It has been.
Every other sport has been a sport except college football. College football is a great game and a terrible sport until this year, when we actually have a legitimate playoff with defined entry. You win your conference in the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, you get in. And if you're the best of that other group of conferences, you get in. That's what we've needed forever. I do believe that if they go to the model where there are guaranteed entry spots for the Big 10 and SEC, it's a significant mistake. it basically puts you right back to where you were, where instead of getting guaranteed bowl arrangements, which were awful, you get guaranteed tournament spots. You're going to get those anyway.
Right.
The SEC and Big Ten do not need the guarantee. And as I told one Big Ten administrator, I was at Big Ten Media Day yesterday, and I said, look, if this is about money, take the money. Go ahead and say, all right, let's just use a round figure. If the college football playoff is worth $100 million a year, we in the SEC and Big Ten are going to take 2/3 of that, $33 million each, and you guys can have the rest. But as long as you don't then change the competition, I don't care what you do with the money. I mean, maybe the other leagues care, but they don't have the power to change it. So do that. Don't foul with the competition and the integrity of the competition. There should be some suspense. Why do you think March is what it is? Because you don't really 100% know whether you're getting in until the doors are closed and you're inside. I mean, Pitt learned that last year. Yeah. Seton Hall learned that last year. There are things that can happen that can knock you out. But I think overall, if you go through the next 5 years, and I think we're assuming that they'll expand this playoff another round to 14 teams. Yeah. If you go through the next 5 years, they on average will get those 4 bids. Both leagues will on average. There may not be every year, but on average they'll get them. And there may be some years, who knows, when they get 5, Adam.
I think the SEC is going to get 6 this year. I think the Big Ten's only going to end up with 2 this year.
I don't agree with that.
So when you said, well, I think Penn State's about to go on a run of losses. Southern Cal and Oregon I think will fight over certainly 1 bid. They might get a 3rd, but I don't think they're getting 4. I understand why the Big Ten, right? I get why the Big Ten wants that.
Remember, we're talking about the 4 thing is in a 14-team universe, not a 12.
Right. So. I'm not sure they would, even if we went to 14 this year, I still think that 2, yeah. I'm not sure about 3, but to me, this was to get Iowa a bid because Iowa is perpetually overrated every single year, a completely unwatchable football program. Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I actually have a problem with the way they've distributed whatever I just tried to say, distributed the money as well. Like, I thought if you're so good, and they are, the SEC is amazing. I don't think Big Ten football is all that, as on a whole, is all that much better than anybody else. The SEC, I'm not even arguing with. They're the best league when it comes to football right now, and really for the last 15 years. But if you're so good, then just make it merit-based and take all the money. But the fact that you're using your power and your clout, I mean, this is, I don't want to make it a political, I don't want to use a political comparison, but this is just power for the sake of power. We're going to prove you how big our wallet is. And I just think all of that is gross. I think it's bad for college sports in general. And that's why I say that those guys don't really love college football, that they just love money.
Well, I think that their job, as is the case with Roger Goodell at the NFL, their job is to make their league as profitable and as powerful as possible.
Right.
I mean, that's what their job is. And they have done that by working to expand in smart ways in the SEC, the case of Oklahoma and Texas, Big Ten with the 4 West Coast schools that led to the ACC expansion and the Big 12 expansion, et cetera. Look, in 2021, I remember right before Big Ten Media Days, it broke that Texas and Oklahoma might join the SEC. And I wrote like almost an open letter to Greg Sankey in a column saying, look, you know what's going to happen if you do this. Is that good for college sports? You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you need to do this? And they did it.
Yeah.
Now, they did it because, in large part because Texas and Oklahoma banged on their door and said, if you don't take us, we'll find someone else who will.
Right.
Texas, it all began because Texas stunk at football for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas had to blame somebody else. Adam, it clearly was someone else's fault other than Texas.
No doubt about it.
Because it couldn't possibly be theirs for hiring a series of either hiring not good enough coaches or firing them too soon. As a result, they wound up with a deficient football program, and it clearly was someone else's fault. So they decided that the only way to make it back to being Texas was to change away from the conference that they dominated. They could have stayed where they were and done fine. And Texas does not need the extra TV money that they'll get in the SEC. They won't know where to spend it.
They already make more money than anybody else anyway. All right, we have to go, but let me just ask you. You can give me a yes or no answer, and we'll go like 30 seconds or so. I do believe that within 5 years we're going to have essentially one giant Super League with promotion and relegation of, 20 or so teams in each tier. Maybe we'll have 60 teams who are willing to pay into this large system, but I think that's what we're going to have. And then the rest of and college sports, the rest of it will look maybe like it used to look.
No, I don't think that'll happen. I just don't. I don't think that many people will be able to agree on that much to change the whole landscape in that broad a fashion.
All right, we have to have this conversation over Diet Cokes with light ice.
You bet.
Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News at TSN Mike on Twitter. Thank you very much. Good luck to your Steelers against the Cowboys on Sunday night. We'll be watching and rooting for Justin Fields and company.
Nice. Thanks, Adam.
You got it. Mike DeCourcy, thank you. All right, when we come back, Panthers in Chicago. We have Panthers Pawprint, your keys to the game, with Victoria next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Looking for ideas for your next outing? Join host Deborah Holt-Noel on NC Weekend as we travel the state. From peaceful retreats and thrilling adventures to restaurants and breweries to historic landmarks and family fun. Discover all of North Carolina has to offer from the mountains to the coast. You'll never run out of things to see and do. Where will your next adventure take you? A brand new season of NC Weekend premieres Thursday, October 3rd at 9 p.m. on PBS NC and streaming on the PBS app.
When the power goes out, your life is disrupted. Heat, air conditioning, refrigeration, phones, all gone. Be prepared for the next outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Power your life with a Generac home standby generator. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
NASCAR's Wild Card Weekend. It's a blur, just how it's supposed to be. Wide open weekend, Wild Card Race. The ultimate NASCAR experience. Camping, concerts, tailgating, and an edge-of-your-seat thrill ride in NASCAR's playoffs. Think your driver's making the cut? Good luck. The Bank of America Roval 400, October 12th and 13th. It's a wide-open weekend and a wild card race. Get your tickets today at CharlotteMotorspeedway.com.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to listen to our latest podcast. The CDC recently released data that shows that since the pandemic, our life expectancy has overall gone down. It has declined by more than a year in North Carolina. And it's not just COVID. We're also seeing more overdoses. But Cone Health is trying to change that. Dr. Olujegedi says they're taking a multi-pronged whole community approach to helping those in medically underserved areas, with the knowledge that overcoming barriers to good health requires them to work with the community, not just within it.
Cone Health has a healthy calendar for community wellness events in partnership with community organizations in all our service areas.
You can find our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Looking for ideas for your next outing? Join host Deborah Holt-Noel on NC Weekend as we travel the state. From peaceful retreats and thrilling adventures to restaurants and breweries to historic landmarks and family fun. Discover all of North Carolina has to offer, from the mountains to the coast. You'll never run out of things to see and do. Where will your next adventure take you? A brand new season of NC Weekend premieres Thursday, October 3rd at 9 p.m. on PBS NC and streaming on the PBS app.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hello there, it's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
This is Adam Gold.
I had no idea John is a Cubs fan, too.
Yeah, I think that's a prerequisite to being the head coach at Duke. I made one comment about the Cubs to Mike Krzyzewski. Goes back a while ago. Talked about the pitching staff, and he goes, yeah, but I don't trust Victor Zambrano. Like, what?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Panthers at Bears on Sunday, 1 o'clock. 4 windows of NFL football this week because they have the Vikings and the Jets playing at 9:30 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in North London. So we've got that. And then the normal 1-4-ish. And then the Sunday night game, so a lot of football to be watched.
All day.
Exactly. So we need keys to the game, and you have for us, Victoria, our Panthers Pawprint. Awe-inspiring music.
It's very dramatic. I love it. So
far more dramatic than the games.
I know.
I apologize.
Unfortunately. However, the last couple weeks have been surprising us, so I'll take it. So first off, I'll say with all of the injuries to our defense, our being the Carolina Panthers, the offense is going to have to be on its A game. That means we're going to need more than a field goal or 2 or 3. Like, we're going to have to get touchdowns in this game because our defense is on the struggle bus. So make sure we've locked in, get some offensive points. Next, the Bears defense is good. So that means we are probably going to have to use our wide receivers way more than running the ball in this game because they actually do have a good defense, the Bears, and they're healthy. So that's going to be strategy number 2. And number 3, this probably goes without saying. Matt Eberflus and company makes enough dumb play calling themselves, so let's not join that party and shoot ourselves in the foot like they will. Let them do it by themselves, and we should be okay.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting that honestly, the best part of the Panthers right now is their offense.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part of the Bears is their defense. So it is in many ways good on good and bad on bad because the Bears' offense has been bad.
Mm-hmm.
But we also know that the Bears' offense they have pieces that look like it should be good.
Right.
Cole Kmet at tight end has been excellent. You've got DJ Moore and Rome Maduns, but he's not. I mean, Caleb Williams hasn't played well yet. I heard our friend Tim Donnelly yesterday talking about the fact that Caleb Williams, if you look at his first 4 games, has actually been worse than Bryce Young's first 4 games.
But he's big, so that's helpful.
Yes, he's a hulking 6'1", I think. So I get the Bears on paper look like they should have an advantage. But I would also say that the Panthers, while I suspected they wouldn't be very good defensively, I also don't think they're this bad. I'm a little bit confused why they have been so bad.
Right.
Like, I didn't think they would be arguably one of the 5 worst defenses in the league. I thought they would take a step back. I thought they would be about a middle-of-the-road defense. We haven't yet seen that. Mm-hmm. They give up a ton of points. They're worst in the league in points allowed. You can run on them at will.
Definitely not the Steve Wilkes defense days.
Steve Wilkes got fired by the 49ers because they lost late last year. Here's the thing, though. I don't think the Bears are necessarily an awesome running team. So maybe a lot of things cancel each other out, but it's going to be an interesting game at Soldier Field.
I know. I feel like it could be high scoring. Because maybe. I don't know. We'll see. See, we just can't have any dumb mistakes.
I think I trust Andy Dalton to do well. I think the Panthers have a good chance to get to 2-3 this week. All right, we're going to check in with high school football next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
The Blue Devils up 21-20, and they got their arms reaching for that bell.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
Is your heating and air system ready for cooler weather? Call Nicke & Company today to schedule a routine maintenance and ensure your system is operating at peak performance. Become a Comfort Contract customer to receive priority service and a 15% discount on service calls and repairs for HVAC and plumbing work. Nicke & Company has served the area as a Carrier Factory authorized dealer for more than 3 generations. Turn to the experts today. Call 919-862-3000 or find us at NickeandCompany.com. Nicke & Company and Carrier. Your comfort is our business.
Hey, Pirates football fans, if you're looking for East Carolina action this weekend, you'll find it in this place. Follow the radio broadcast on the IBX Media mobile app.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. So many of you have told me about your plans for the future. Starting a business, buying a home, retiring near your grandchildren, but prices are too high. So let me tell you what I will do about it as president. I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of healthcare insurance. We cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I'm running to do that for everyone. And I will provide new down payment assistance to first-time home buyers and tax benefits to people who want to start their own business. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy, whereas I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. Because I know working people want to do more than just get by. You want to get ahead, and that's the future you deserve. And that is what I will focus on every day as your president. Paid for by Harris for President.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. That means this is the best chance in 2 years to do a cash-out refi and unlock all that equity at an amazing rate. Loan Pronto has fixed loans under 5% APR, the lowest in 2 years. You can get a fast refi and get $50, $75, even $100,000 in cash. Use it to pay off all your credit cards, personal loans, car loans. You'll end up with one payment each month, and for most homeowners, they save over $850 every month. And if you want to keep your original mortgage intact, ask about the Loan Pronto Express Equity Line of Credit. If you act now, you could even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions.
Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
The Blue Devils with the 21-20 lead. From the shotgun, it's Criswell with Hampton to his right. See what Jonathan Packey dials up here. Here's the snap. They bring a little bit extra help. It's Stinson. He throws. Batted. Intercepted. Picked up. It's Trey Freeman. And the Blue Devils take over with 25 seconds to go. Up 21-20. And they got their arms reaching for that bell.
Very excited, David Shoemate, Duke Radio Network. We spoke with Manny Diaz yesterday. Their game with Georgia Tech will be far from easy. Duke's nearly 10 points an underdog.
Oh, that says a lot.
At down at Georgia Tech, Bobby Dodd. So not as Vegas does not think highly of Duke's chances to get to 6-0, but
do not.
I think the Blue Devils are good. I think Georgia Tech is good. I think this is going to be a very good football game. I'm looking forward to it. We'll talk about this game. We'll talk about Clemson, Florida State. We'll talk about Pitt's visit to Chapel Hill, Wake, and NC State also with Brett Friedlander coming up in about 20 minutes. Real quick, one thing that I want to just mention is that the NHL season, which doesn't start for the Hurricanes till next Friday, starts today.
Oh.
In fact, in a matter of moments, the Sabres and Devils will drop the puck on the season in the Global Series games. They will play today, and I think there's one more in Prague.
Nice.
So, exactly.
I'm excited.
That is very cool. I'm looking at the Devils Game 1 lineup here, and they have a good team. I think we should all, and I know there are some missing pieces from that team right now. Luke Hughes is not in the lineup for the Devils. He's nursing an injury. So I think this is, I've heard a lot of people say, well, the Hurricanes aren't going to make the playoffs or whatever. I think they're a playoff team. I think they'll be a factor in the division, but I don't think they're as good as the Devils or the Rangers. Another New Jersey Devil who is not in today's lineup is Brett Pesce.
Yeah.
So,
gonna say we're familiar with some Devil players,
right?
even more so.
Steph Nason is in the Devils lineup today. So, former Hurricanes in a lot of different spots. You've got Steph Nason, you've got Dougie Hamilton, but you don't have Brett Pesce.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be so weird
Eric
when
Halla
they're here.
is also still with the Devils.
Oh, nice. See, when they come back, it'll be weird because they'll still be in the same colors.
That's right. Brett Pesce didn't have to change his wardrobe.
Different team. I know, right?
Beautiful.
With the different team.
Good for him.
Oh.
All right, we're a week out from, I don't know, maybe even a little bit more from really dealing with the weather and all the destruction that Hurricane Helene left in its wake. So we know that last week App State canceled their football game. High school football was canceled across the western part of the state of North Carolina. And joining us just to give us an idea of what we can or cannot expect this weekend, Nick Stevens, managing editor, highschoolot.com. All right, where are we with, I know there are a lot of teams, schools that didn't play last week, either in advance of the storm or in the wake of the storm. I can't imagine a ton has changed out in the Asheville area and surrounding counties, but where are we?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. We, outside of the mountains, everybody is playing this week. It's week 7 of the high school football season. We're in conference play now, and everybody's getting ready for the home stretch of the regular season. In the mountains, it's a little bit different. Some areas, like the farthest west you can possibly go, like the Murphy area, they're actually playing this week, the Smoky Mountain Conference.
Really?
They did not have the level of impact that areas around Buncombe County and Mitchell County, Avery County, up towards Boone had. So they're actually able to play. And then into the foothills area, you have the Catawba Valley area. That conference is playing this week as well. In fact, some of them played on Wednesday night, trying to make up some of the games that have been missed, and will play again tomorrow. So they're trying to get games in so that they can finish the regular season. The question is what's going to happen in some of those conferences and school districts and towns where there has just been such terrible damage, like around Asheville. And frankly, no one really has an answer right now. You talk to some people who are hopeful that they'll be able to get back on the field at some point. You talk to other people who are like, I don't know how we'll ever play football this fall.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that the schools have been damaged or that the fields have been damaged or what. That is the case in some places, but it's a matter of you can't get to the schools. Like the infrastructure in town has been wiped out. The roads are gone. There's no running water. There's not electricity. And those are not conditions in which you can have a high school football game. And some of the schools as well, Watauga High School is being used as a shelter and a place to distribute goods that are needed in the community. So there's a lot of things that are a lot more important than high school football right now in those areas. And but with that being said, I think that the people involved in those schools will tell you that if they can get sports going again, they want to, because it gives kids a chance to do something that's a little bit normal in the middle of a true disaster in the western part of our state.
Nick Stevens is joining us here, managing editor of highschoolot.com. It was funny, when you were in studio on Monday, you're talking about a stadium that is gone, that has been completely destroyed. And, we think about all of the damage done to stadiums and schools and towns. But the other part of that is what it has done to people and put them out of their homes. You talk about one of the high schools being used as a staging area. There are places being used as shelters. So while maybe we could get people into a stadium to execute a high school football game, are the players, are the coaches, are the people who are needed to put these games on, are they capable of giving the however many hours of time on game day, however many hours of time to prepare for these games? I mean, what are the chances of those things impacting everything?
Well, I tweeted yesterday, there's a lot of people on social media. Maybe that's my fault for reading comments on social media, but there's a lot of people on social media who are making this seem like a simple solution, just play the games at a different field.
Right.
Well, it's not that simple. Like, you're talking about kids and coaches and staff members who themselves have lost their homes, don't have vehicles because they have been flooded. I talked to an athletic director. I don't want to mention which school because I don't have permission to do that. But there is a school that has sustained damage at their stadium. I talked to their athletic director, and they were at their family's house because their family's house is destroyed by a flood. They're trying to help them, get stuff cleaned up the best they can. The other thing is, a lot of these places where you don't even have basic running water, which means like you don't have bathrooms that work. That people have evacuated. They've gone to other places. So like the kids may not even be there to practice and play. And a sport like football, you can't just, go from not practicing and playing to let's go play a game. Like you just can't do that. It's a safety problem. So, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to be resolved, and I don't think anybody does. And I think that's also why we haven't heard from the NCHSAA yet about whether or not they're going to extend the season or change the calendar, because they can't get a grasp on it. And there's also communications problems. Like it's hard to get in touch with some people at some of these schools in the most affected areas because communications are still down in a lot of places. So, it's just a really tough situation out there. And, even if the stadiums are good to go, the people are not. And the infrastructure around it is not necessarily there. So I don't know when it'll resume again in the mountains. And I'm not sure that anybody really has a good guess on that at the moment.
Yeah, in some ways, I think it brings back pandemic kind of memories because there's just so much uncertainty. All right, final thing for Nick Stevens, managing editor, High School OT. There are ways, I know the Hurricanes have been involved here with some relief efforts. How are there relief efforts that people who are really interested, high school football, fans or just general people who are listening to this program? Are there ways they might be able to help?
Yeah, there are high schools all over the state of North Carolina doing donation drives, fundraisers. A lot of them are happening at football games tonight where they're collecting essential items to distribute in Western North Carolina. We've done our best to keep a running list of that on High School OT, but frankly, there are so many of them. I know we're missing some. So check with your school, or if you're on the road at a different school, check and see what that school's doing. They're posting all that stuff on the school social media sites, on their websites. In Wake County, I know that there's a junior at Athens Drive who has helped organize almost a district-wide effort that is going through next Friday night, where you can take stuff to pretty much any Wake County high school and drop it off. We have a list of all those schools on High School OT as well. So there's a lot of people who are stepping up. I've heard from some other districts about some big efforts that are going to be announced soon. There's one on the coast that is going to be pretty interesting, I think, to look at. They're not ready to announce those details,
Gotcha.
but we will have that on High School OT. Hopefully this weekend or early next week.
That is Nick Stevens, managing editor, High School OT. Appreciate your time, sir. Have a good weekend, and I will talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, Adam.
You got it. Nick Stevens, managing editor of highschoolot.com. So, yeah, if you're going to a high school game tonight, or I guess Nick said some games are being played tomorrow, think about bringing a whole bunch of toilet paper. Whatever. You can use common sense and put yourself in the position of people who have lost everything.
Yeah.
And what are the things that, man, I wish I had that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting because we take it for granted. But what happens when we are about to get hit with a snowstorm?
Right. Everybody goes out and gets milk and bread.
Right. So that's not going to get donated.
No.
Right. But the other thing that we lose, the stores are out of toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that.
Yeah.
All the people who need those types of things.
Yeah.
Hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
So
even things like backpacks, shoes, I've seen like lists. You can just look, and it's all over Facebook. There are people who I've got like some close people who've been going back and forth, and like one of the things is like backpacks, shoes, clothes, because they've got nothing. All they have is what's on their back. So just all that stuff. Just think about having nothing, what you would need. They need it all.
It is absolutely staggering. I'm still seeing. I saw a video today that I-40. All the way in the western part of the state, where it kind of winds through the valley in the mountains. It's almost, and there's I think it's the Nolichucky River that is running alongside of it. Well, that river, crested way high, washed over 40, and when it washed back, it took a lot of the highway with it. Mm-hmm. So the westbound lanes, I think it's the westbound lanes, are relatively okay. The eastbound lanes in spots are gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they're not there anymore.
Drive on. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's hard to even. It crushes you when you see it. Like, man, just these schools It's not. This is not a congested area, so they have to take highways at times to go play your opponent.
Sure.
The highway's gone. How are we getting there? Right? The buses are gone. How are we? There's so many things going on, man. My heart breaks for all of those people. So however you can help, please help. We're going to talk ACC football. Happier times, I guess. Brett Friedlander. What is it? Brett Friedlander, ACC reporter forever. Saturdays Down South. Wow. Woo.
You got it.
It just came back to me. Brett Friedlander is going to join us. Big weekend of ACC football next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
For the first time this season, we are actually seeing what I believe the Panthers truly are. They weren't as bad as they were in week 1 and 2. They aren't as good as they were in week 3. They kind of are what they are in week 4. They're a team that is young. The defense is going to regress from last year, but with Andy Dalton, the offense shows a little sign of progress.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
The Mets managed to have a pull-from-behind win against the Brewers last night, and if you had Pete Alonso as a home run hitter, you won as well. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here for BetMGM, and now the wild cards are all squared away, and we know the MLB playoff schedule, which is going to give plenty of chances to take your swing at a wager. Plus, we have another weekend of football, and last night's NFC matchup between the Falcons and the Bucs was a great example of when to take the over. But something else I'm personally excited for is UFC 307 this weekend with a stacked card. But with all of the sports avenues I've mentioned, that's not even all of them when you use the BetMGM app. And you'll be able to make wagers using the money line, same-game parlays, live bets, prop bets, and BetMGM also has fun daily promotions for day of games. All brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today and please gamble responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, North Carolina only. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best versions of themselves. Visit movingncstudentsforward.com and share how your student or school community has benefited for a chance to earn $2,000 for your story. Must be 18 to play. Problem Gambling Helpline 877-718-5543.
It's not just a donation.
It's a warm blanket.
It's a bottle of clean water.
It's a roof and a bed. Please donate now to help people affected by Hurricane Helene. Your support is urgently needed.
Please donate now. 1-800-RED-CROSS or redcross.org.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
Summer is winding down and fall is fast approaching. At the Good Feet store, our arch supports are designed to make any season comfortable by fitting into your favorite seasonal shoes. Stop in your local Good Feet store today or make an appointment at goodfeet.com.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
This is Adam Gold.
I had no idea John is a Cubs fan, too.
Yeah, I think that's a prerequisite to being the head coach at Duke. I made one comment about the Cubs to Mike Krzyzewski. Goes back a while ago. Talked about the pitching staff, and he goes, yeah, but I don't trust Victor Zambrano. I'm like, what?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We got a Hurricanes game tonight at Lenovo Center. We have a big weekend ahead of ACC football. The Panthers are in Chicago to take on the Bears. And I don't know, some were calling it a grudge match. That's fine. Every NFL game is probably a grudge match. But we've got a rivalry game this weekend in the ACC as NC State and Wake Forest are on the football field. Brett Friedlander, Saturday Down South, ACC ace reporter, columnist, aficionado, a man who once had his laptop taken out by Grayson Allen. He joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Oh, are you wearing a Hurricanes cap, my friend? Look, you are.
I just saw that.
Yes, I am. Here's the thing. I was disappointed by the Braves being, knocked out. What's left of the Braves, because most of their players are injured.
Yep.
But I figured now that I'm going to be disappointed by another team, I might as well,
You're not going to be disappointed by our Hurricanes, sir. We're going to be fine.
My son works for them, so I am all in, and I don't cover them, so I can be a fan.
You should. I cover them. I'm a fan. You should have your son come say hi to me. All right, let's get to Duke. Let's start with Duke, Georgia Tech. I think this game is fascinating. I know when Georgia Tech lost a couple of times, especially when they lost to Syracuse, people forgot. Like, okay, they're not that good because maybe they didn't think Syracuse is that good. I think Syracuse is good. I don't think they're amazing, but I think they're good. I don't think Georgia Tech is amazing. I think they're good. I don't think Duke is amazing, but I think they have done amazing things so far through 5 weeks of the season. To me, it's kind of a slap in the face to them that they're essentially 10-point underdogs at 5-0. What has impressed you about Duke, and why is this game a problem for them?
There are two things that I've been impressed with Duke about. First of all is the way that they have played defense. Shouldn't be a surprise because Manny Diaz is a defensive guy, and Mike Elko was too, and left behind a good portion of a defense that led the ACC in scoring last year. Gave up the fewest points in the league.
Right.
So there's that. But the other thing, too, is the resilience of this team. 3 of their 5 wins have come on fourth-quarter comebacks. And Malik Murphy has been so much better in the last, 20 minutes of a game than he has in the first 40. If they can figure out how to be more consistent and get off to a better start, that's a team that really can do some impressive things this year, and especially since they have developed a very nice running game with Star Thomas. And their offensive line, I think, is playing very well. It's a team that seems to have gotten a little bit better every week. And as a coach, right, that's what they always say that they're going for. Right. I think this is a real measuring stick game because you're right. Georgia Tech is a good team, but not a great team, and it is on the road. Duke has already won on the road. But and by the way, you mentioned the Syracuse loss with Georgia Tech. The one thing that people also forget that it was the 3rd game in 3 weeks for Georgia Tech in which they went from Ireland back home to play a crosstown rival and then on the road again to Syracuse without a week off. And I think that fatigue may have gotten a piece of them in that game as well. I think this is a really good game. I think it's a game that Duke could win. And I'll tell you, if I were a betting person, which I am not, I would jump all over that 10 points because I don't think it's going to be that kind of game.
Yeah, I think this is a close game. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Here's the thing about, because I go back to the Georgia Tech-Florida State game, and Georgia Tech dared Florida State to throw the ball down the field.
And they
couldn't. Duke can. If you're Georgia Tech and you dare Malik Murphy to throw the ball down the field to Jordan Moore or Pankol, he's going to. And
he's going to actually complete about 3 out of every 7 of them that he throws, but still, that's good enough to score points.
Sometimes you only need to complete 1. And so, DJ couldn't do it. Malik Murphy will be able to do that. And then you throw in the fact that Duke has developed a good running game anyway, but without Jaquez Moore, you'd think they would suffer. Man, Star Thomas is just phenomenal. But you talk about Duke's defense, they don't lead the nation anymore. They're second in the nation behind Ole Miss in tackles for loss. They're 8th in the country in sacks. So, I mean, Georgia Tech's quarterback's mobile. They did enough to Florida State to be difficult, and they shortened the game. But I love the game. So, and you and I agree. I like at Duke at the very least to keep this game pretty tight. Are we getting to the point maybe with NC State where you think we'll start to see some? All right, now we're starting to get our legs, and the schedule is not as difficult as some of those early games, where they'll start to show some improvement, or do you think this is going to be a fight throughout?
I think the former rather than the latter, because this is the personality of NC State under Dave Doran. They win games that they're supposed to win. They haven't won a lot of games that they were favored to lose, but they win games that they're supposed to win. And while Wake Forest has given NC State problems in the past, it's usually when they play in Winston-Salem. Wake Forest is not the same team for some reason when they come to Raleigh. And so I think that the schedule lightens up considerably here. They are not going to play anyone even close to being the quality of either Clemson or Tennessee.
No.
And this is a team that's going to still win 8 or 9 games because that's what they do. And I think their defense last week started to show some signs of, we against teams that aren't, don't have elite speed and depth, we can hold our own. And so I thought last week was an encouraging performance from a defensive standpoint. Now let's see what happens offensively, because C.J. Bailey is starting again. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like last week that they were, their defense was playing so well. Doran and I decided, let's just not do anything to mess this up. Let's just let the defense take care of business. And do they turn him loose? Or is this one of those things where it's just a matter of waiting until, Grayson McCall is back, and then we'll see the full range of the NC State offense, because they only gained they gained less than 200 yards last week and won.
Yeah, if it were not for the defensive touchdown, where I think we're talking about, we might be talking about a different outcome. But again, though, I don't think they were in a position where they had to turn it up offensively. I agree with you. I think we'll see more from C.J. Bailey. I think they have, at some point, you have to look around your locker room and look at the personnel and go, we have too many good weapons here to not use them. I do think you're right about how they approached the Northern Illinois game. I don't think Wake Forest is as good as Northern Illinois.
No, but I think their offense is better, and I think they're going to have to score more this week.
Good. I want to see that kind of scoreboard pressure on the Wolfpack to kind of get them up and moving offensively. All right, Pitt is at North Carolina. I mean, this it's kind of a broken record at this point. I mean, we could all – I think everybody has an opinion of what ultimately will happen at the end of the year. I've said this before. Based on what happens Saturday, I do think that we'll get an announcement before Halloween that this is the last year of Mac. I have no inside information here at all. I just don't see how you can do this again if you're UNC, and I do think that I'd like to see a little bit of outpouring of support and love for what Mac Brown did when he came back, which is repair the relationships with the high schools. Pitt is interesting because I'm not sure Pitt is good, but they keep winning. So there's something about that, and they keep winning in I'll use it Metzian fashion. Sorry about that, Brett.
Hey, it's the truth.
So what's your read on this game and a series that North Carolina has basically won a lot?
Mm-hmm.
What's your read
even
on
Larry Fedora owned Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So let me start with the first point that you made, and I have no inside information either. But there is an open date coming up after the Georgia Tech game next Saturday. And if UNC loses to both Pitt and Georgia Tech, I would be shocked if Mac didn't come out during the open date and say, this is it, I'm finishing out the season and then I'm done. And that way they can get a head start on finding his successor. That having been said, I think this is a measuring stick game for Pitt just as much as Georgia Tech is for Duke, because Pitt has already played West Virginia and Cincinnati, so they've got a couple of nice wins. But this is on the road. It's a conference team that they know a lot about. But I like what Eli Holstein has done to that offense. And also, Cade Bell, their new offensive coordinator, who's brought half of his playmakers from Western Carolina with him and just energized that offense, and which is really incredible because Pat Narduzzi is a defensive guy who has always been kind of an old school 3 yards in the cloud of dust kind of coach, and he's running tempo now, and they're throwing the ball all over the place, and he's kind of come into the 21st century, and right now they're 4-0 and really looking good. So I really like Pitt, and I like Pitt in this game. Pat Narduzzi, I don't know if this is just something that happened really late in camp or if he's the ultimate sandbagger, because we were led to believe that Nate Yarnell was going to be their quarterback right up to the opening day. And then here's this kid, the transfer from Alabama, he throws him out there and he's thrown for 300-400 yards every game. And either it's genius or it's luck. I'm not sure which, but it's worked.
I keep wanting to see on Twitter more people say, holy cow, Holstein's done it again. But, I mean, I'm trying to make that joke stick. But you're
jokes.
You are free to use it, Brett. Brett Friedlander, Saturday Down South, ACC columnist, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Clemson, Florida State was supposed to be a fun game. It might be a fun game, but I think Clemson would have to play down to Florida State. They're more than a 2-touchdown favorite on the road. But I do want to see Clemson basically put the hammer down, because we're looking at this from an ACC perspective. We need Miami to keep winning and Clemson to continue to be impressive if we want to see those two teams in Charlotte at the end of the season playing
and in the playoff.
And the following week starting the college football playoff. What's your sense of those two things happening?
First of all, I have no reason to doubt Florida State in that DJ Uiagalelei has a broken finger. But what a great way to bench a guy without actually benching him if he could have played, because they're sparing him the indignity of getting schooled by the team that that he used to play for and the quarterback that they ran him out of town for.
Right.
But in Brock Glenn, you have to take into account that the two defenses he faced last year, and also the fact that the two possessions that he played against SMU last week were total mop-up situations. But the kid has looked like a deer in headlights every time he's been out there. And Clemson's defense is elite. And more so, Clemson's offense is going to score points. And I don't have any faith in Brock Glenn and that offense scoring enough to even come close to beating Clemson. Adam, this could get incredibly ugly. I throw you back to, 2018, Willie Taggart's first year in Tallahassee.
Okay.
I want to say it was 50-13. Clemson beat them, and there's still a GIF out there or a meme or whatever it is of a guy in Surrender Cobra, the only one in the stands at Doak Campbell Stadium. This could get ugly, and I think that Clemson has incentive to make it ugly, because last year, if you remember, they were by far the better team on the field at Death Valley. They let Florida State hang around. Kalen DeLoach got a strip sack for a touchdown that tied it, and then there was a kind of a questionable call in the end zone on the touchdown in overtime that won the game. I think Clemson owes them one, and I think they're going to take some respect or revenge out on them.
Yeah, and honestly, they need to be impressive in their wins, because there's a lot of people who just remember getting beat by 31 to Georgia, and we're hoping that Mario Cristobal doesn't trip up his own. Right, doesn't Mario. But also, Cal is the type of a team that could be a problem. I still think the problem for Miami comes at the very end of the season at Syracuse, but by that point, it all might not matter because
Adam, the thing is, they've got the X factor that I think can remedy Marioing. And that's Cam Ward, because last week they should have lost.
Right.
Cam Ward got intercepted twice. He fumbled away. That game was a loss. But Cam Ward on the last drive made 3 winning plays. He's a difference maker.
Yep.
And I think that even he is going to be able to he'll be able to offset Mario, I think.
All right, final thing for Brett Friedlander, Saturday Down South, ACC columnist at BFriedACC on Twitter. And there's not a lot to say here other than you floated a theory yesterday. I've been railing on this potential SEC, Big Ten, 4 automatic bids each to the playoff next year. And you said something on Twitter I think makes a lot of sense, that this is just their way of getting to what they wanted in the last round of negotiations, which was 3 automatic bids each. And I will simply say both of it is BS because I don't think we should have any automatic bids, but I understand that the conferences are all going to get we're going to have the same situation we have now at the very least, which is 4 and then 1 for the next best conference. But I don't think we should have any automatic bids.
No, I think this is a bluff, and I think it's a bluff to try to scare the ACC and Big 12 into saying, okay, 3, you can have 3, and we'll take 2. But if
I wouldn't want the ACC to have 2 either.
Well, whatever. But here, listen. If the ACC has got any kind of verve, to use a Coach K a word, then they will make a call to the Big 12 and say, hey, listen, let's stop fighting over who the 3rd best conference is, and let's work together here because these guys are trying to put us out of business. Then you need to get Notre Dame on board, and you need to get the group of 5, and you need to say, no, we're not going for any of this. We're going to keep the same thing where the top 5 conferences get the automatic bids, and if you're as good as you say you are, then you should be able to get as many bids as you want out of the 14-team playoff that's going to happen. And that's the way it's going to be. I honestly think that the SEC is not behind this. I think the SEC is perfectly fine with the system the way it is because their teams are good enough to get 4 or 5 teams in. I think this is the Big Ten, who is vastly overrated because when you other than Ohio State, Michigan, and maybe one other team every year, they're the ACC, and and they've got a lot more money, and that's the only thing. That's the only difference.
They're rich,
and so I think they're the driving force behind this. And since the SEC, they're the SEC's toady. The SEC's taking them along for the ride here.
I 100% agree with that. Brett Friedlander at BFriedACC, Saturday Down South ACC columnist. My man, I appreciate your time.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, tell your son to come seek me out. I'll be at the game tonight.
I'll do that
whenever. Appreciate it. All right, that's Brett Friedlander. I understand that there are people who think, well, that Southern Cal, Oregon, Washington, get it. Wisconsin, fraud. Nebraska, fraud. Iowa, fraud. Illinois, fraud. Penn State, kind of fraud. I know that people will go, but Penn State, yeah, okay. I don't think so. I think we'll see the Nittany Lions go on a little bit of a run of losses here as their schedule ramps up. I've watched enough Big Ten football this year to think Ohio State's great. National championship good. I don't know if they're as good as Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee, but I don't think there's a ton of difference if they're not. So I'll put them in can win a national championship. Texas, I forgot Texas there. So Ohio State, yes. After that, not sure. Not sure about Southern Cal or Oregon, or I'm more sure about them than I am about Penn State. Michigan is not great. Michigan beat Southern Cal. So when we were talking earlier with Mike DeCourcy, I'm not entirely sure that the Big Ten will be good enough to put more than 2 teams into the playoff this year, in a 12-team playoff. I think you can make an argument that 6 of the top 10 schools in the seeding will be from the SEC. I would not be shocked at all. I know Ole Miss kind of exposed themselves figuratively against, was it South Carolina last week? But I still think they're a playoff team. So there's a lot of, legitimately great football teams. You could argue that the 4 best teams might all come from the SEC. Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas. I wouldn't hate that. And I've said this before. In my world, we don't have any automatic bids. We just choose the best teams. And in past years, I would have been fine if the best 4 teams all came from the same conference. I don't care. If we're having a playoff, legit, if we're having a playoff, then I want the best teams in it. And we've only got 12 teams in it this year, even 14. I want the best teams. Otherwise, why are we having a playoff? I mean, I don't think that sounds odd. I think that sounds, well, if we have a playoff, we want the best teams in it. So, it's the way I look at it. Have I told you that the Mets won last night against the Milwaukee Brewers?
I did not know that.
Yeah, really? How did it escape? It was an absolute joy. Look, just to get back to the college football thing, because I have fought against an expanded playoff for years. I have fought against it on 2 fronts. One, Dabo Sweeney said it out loud last year and the year before, I believe, in that we're expanding the playoff, but we're not going to be adding teams that have chances to win a national championship. Now, the way it's done, because conferences right now will get automatic entry without an expanded playoff, there are teams that could win a national championship that wouldn't have gotten in a 14 playoff. So we will be adding true contenders. But in a perfect world where we are just taking the best teams, I don't think that number is bigger than 5 of teams that can win it all. I really don't. And I mentioned the 5 teams already. Ohio State and the top 4 teams from the SEC. Those to me are the best teams. And to me, all we've done is we've gotten bigger. We've created more inventory, which means more money from, in this case, ESPN, who has the entire playoff, which honestly is not a good idea. You're leaving money on the table by leaving it with just one entity. You know, there's a reason why the Big Ten is going to be wealthier than the SEC. It's not because they play better football. It's because they have 3 separate network television deals. They're with CBS, they are with Fox, they are with NBC, and then you have the Big Ten Network. This is not complicated. It just isn't. They are dipping in 3 different troughs. The ACC gets 1. The SEC gets 1. Yes, the SEC's deal with ESPN is enormous. But they have earned that by the way they have played on the field. The ACC, if the ACC were playing better football at the time of the last negotiation, their deal would have been better too. But they weren't. Looking at you, Florida State. You're culpable for the deal that you hate so much. Anyway, that's what the college football playoff should have done. This should have been spread across 3 networks. It should have been ESPN gets part, Fox gets part, CBS or NBC. It should have been like, let's split it up and let's rotate it. They want to be so much like professional football. The NFL isn't on one network. They're on all of them. Like, literally all of them. Not to mention Amazon. They're everywhere. This is what college football should have done. I get ESPN wanting to keep it, but this is what college football should have done. What an own goal that is. All right, when we come back, we're going to stretch. We're going to place bets. I think I lost everything yesterday, but I'm going to win them all today. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hard to believe, but we're already here at the main part of Week 5 of the NFL. And FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, ready to celebrate Andy Dalton going up against his former mates from Cincinnati. We're going to get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. Hey, have some fun. Andy Dalton going to throw 9 touchdown passes. The odds on that would be pretty steep. FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
NASCAR's Wild Card Weekend. It's a blur, just how it's supposed to be. Wide open weekend, Wild Card Race. The ultimate NASCAR experience. Camping, concerts, tailgating, and an edge-of-your-seat thrill ride in NASCAR's playoffs. Think your driver's making the cut? Good luck. The Bank of America Roval 400, October 12th and 13th. It's a wide-open weekend and a wild card race. Get your tickets today at CharlotteMotorspeedway.com.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to listen to our latest podcast. The CDC recently released data that shows that since the pandemic, our life expectancy has overall gone down. It has declined by more than a year in North Carolina. And it's not just COVID. We're also seeing more overdoses. But Cone Health is trying to change that. Dr. Olujegedi says they're taking a multi-pronged whole community approach to helping those in medically underserved areas, with the knowledge that overcoming barriers to good health requires them to work with the community, not just within it.
Cone Health has a healthy calendar for community wellness events in partnership with community organizations in all our service areas.
You can find our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Looking for ideas for your next outing? Join host Deborah Holt-Noel on NC Weekend as we travel the state. From peaceful retreats and thrilling adventures to restaurants and breweries to historic landmarks and family fun. Discover all of North Carolina has to offer, from the mountains to the coast. You'll never run out of things to see and do. Where will your next adventure take you? A brand new season of NC Weekend premieres Thursday, October 3rd at 9 p.m. on PBS NC and streaming on the PBS app.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Looking forward to the Roundtable next hour. Our friends Josh Graham and Randy Slack. I think they have tag teamed before. And also Nicke Carboni from Charlotte. TV guy in Charlotte. He's going to join us, and we're going to talk about the Panthers and their trip to Chicago. So that's all next hour. Right now, time to stretch.
Oh, yes. Well, it might be too early for this, but I don't know. It's always good to be prepared because Swiss Miss is ready for the cold weather and to help the adult beverage industry.
Oh, no.
So now Swiss Miss has teamed up with an Indianapolis-based spirits maker called Hotel Tango Distillery to create Swiss Miss Schmello. So what this is a coca-infused bourbon whiskey that has hints of caramelized sugar and toasted marshmallows. So you can get blitzed for Christmas.
Whiskey?
Yep.
Oh.
Apparently so. So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe people have added an addition to their hot chocolate before and they thought, you know what, we're just going to jump on this bandwagon. And,
right,
but still.
Fine, put something else in it, but other than whiskey.
Yeah. So
Look, I'm the wrong person to even talk about it because I'm not a brown liquor person.
Right. There's days for that.
Yeah. I did mention the XO Cafe tequila.
Yes, you did, which I still haven't tried yet, but apparently it's delicious and I should.
Baby.
It may be dangerous.
It's sipping tequila.
Yeah. Wow. Ooh. Yeah. It sounded delightful, though, from what you said.
It's super delicious.
So this one might also be sipping worthy because it is 60 proof and it will start showing up next month at select retailers. But if you just can't wait, you can get it online at caskcartel.com. They say that the retail price runs for about $28, but it's on the website for $40, so it's a little more. And you can get it in 2, 3, or 6 bottle bundles. So buy for your friends and stock up for the winter. They also have supplied some recipes for you on their website, drinkschmello.com. That name, what a name! I don't know. It's fantastic. But yeah, you could make a White Russian, spiked hot chocolate, old fashioned with cocoa. I don't know about that, but hey, it's gonna be here before you know it. I've already looked at the calendar and realized that it's gonna be dark at 3:00 before you know it. So,
are you one of those people who gets bummed when it gets dark early?
I mean, it does stink when you go into work and it's dark and you leave work and it's still dark. But, yeah, I mean, I don't mind nighttime. I just, yeah.
Well, I don't mind nighttime either. But
yeah, it does bum me out.
I don't like when I leave. Well, we leave here early. I leave here earlier. But I used to walk out at, 6 and it's night.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
No. No, so I won't be a fan of that either. And you might be a fan of this, last but not least, some other weird recipe going around, which I don't know if it's a gimmick or if they're actually going to try to turn it into something. But Julian Edelman, while he's not roasting Tom Brady, also likes this creation called salsa cereal. So what it is kind of what you would think it is. Tostitos said they spotted a new trend on the social medias called salsa cereal, where it's basically you just take handfuls of tortilla chips, crush them up, and put salsa on top. So, duh, who hasn't been doing this? There's a name for that? No. When you've got queso dip and you all have
I was
all
thinking
the
he was going to make actual breakfast cereal out of this.
No.
And I was about to be nauseated.
I thought that's where it was going, too. But they're just doing what everybody does and making a name of it.
That's fine. Somebody has to invent it.
I know. Well, they now have boxes of it, so you can get this salsa cereal at their website and hashtag sweepstakes on Tostitos.
Good for Julian Edelman.
Or you could just do it yourself like normal people.
Yeah.
Or you could place some bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, I think I got them all wrong yesterday, but that's fine because I'm going to get them all right today.
Exactly. Well, I'm starting with football. The Baltimore Ravens are going to be in Cincinnati taking on Joe Burrow and company with frosted tips and everything. I don't think Burrow's going to win this one, even though it's in Cincinnati. So give me the Ravens, and it might be high scoring. It's set at 8.5, so I'll take the over. It's plus 200.
All right, that's
a
good.
lot.
Bengals plus money at home.
I know.
All right, I went 4 for 4 telling you who was going to win the first round of the baseball playoffs. Got them all right. We're going to get them all right again. Okay? So if you want to do something creative, feel free. Mets plus 158 will beat the Phillies. Preds. Padres plus 120 will beat the Dodgers. Yankees minus 205 will beat the Royals. I stay away from that individually because it's not worth it. Detroit plus 102 will beat Cleveland. Have fun. Do what you need to do.
Nice. My last football bet before I get to UFC 307, the Colts are taking on the Jaguars in Jacksonville. So give me another road team. The Colts are plus 135. So just give me them outright to win.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 ACC football games. NC State minus 4.5 points against Wake Forest, over 53.5. That's plus 233. Duke plus 9.5 at Georgia Tech, under 53.5 is plus 220.
Ooh. Well, my last one, like I said, UFC 307. I did kind of mention this with Lee yesterday, but to put some numbers behind it, Carla Esparza versus Taysha Pennington. Carla is retiring in this fight, so she is going in with the mindset she's donezo. Give me Pennington, who also came back after having a child, looked great in her last fight, but we'll do it by the points because she is favored. It's still minus 120, but put it in a parlay.
All right. My one NFL game. Panthers are in Chicago. Second win of the season coming for Carolina. Plus 172. Straight money line win. It's only the Bears. They're as dysfunctional as the Panthers.
They are.
Maybe more.
Yes. And Eberflus.
That's
just
quite
Eberflus.
A fight, by the way. When we come back, Wall of Sound time. I wonder if we'll hear play-by-play. I wonder. We might.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, as we get you ready for a huge Week 5 of the NFL. And it's huge because we have games in 4 different broadcast windows. No joke. It starts in the morning as the Vikings and Jets play at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Are the Jets for real? I think they're for real mediocre. Vikings just might be the truth. Have some fun. New customers, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed to you when you make your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
For the first time this season, we are actually seeing what I believe the Panthers truly are. They weren't as bad as they were in Week 1 and 2. They aren't as good as they were in Week 3. They kind of are what they are in Week 4. They're a team that is young. The defense is going to regress from last year, but with Andy Dalton, the offense shows a little sign of progress.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season, and that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
With all these new winners at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club, we need to decide who's in charge.
We need a top prize winner.
We need someone who's good with words, like us crossword winners.
If elected leader, I will extend the hours during which all winners can use the diamond-encrusted hot tub.
Nice.
New scratch-offs mean new winners. This month's tickets are packed with $370 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.04 to 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics at soundedouttogether.org. Brought to you by Pivotal Ventures.
WCNC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Now here's a chance for Carolina. Loose puck. They'll score. Brind'Amour hammers it home as the puck bounces off the stanchion, and Lemieux fires one past Wedgwood at 6-3. Younger Sorum will get it to Nadeau, looking for that shot. Nadeau's got it. He scores! Oh! Bradley Nadeau wires it. A power play goal for Carolina. Break it down, Tripperdamus.
Well, I was hoping for it. Just isolate that shot because he can absolutely fire it.
Neither of those 2 goal scorers will be in the lineup tonight, however, for the Hurricanes' third and final home preseason game. Tampa Bay, the opponent tonight, 7 o'clock. If you are listening in Raleigh, why wouldn't you be? Pre-game show, Stormwatch, 6:30. Canes' final preseason game is tomorrow in Nashville at 5 o'clock. And the players who are not playing today are almost certainly going to be playing tomorrow. The one exception to that might be Dmitry Orlov playing again. He's played 4 out of the 5 games, counting today. Dmitry Orlov has played 4 of 5. That is by design from the head coach. So I would not be surprised if he played tomorrow. Trying to fast forward something here. I'm just saying. Anyway, Canes and the Lightning tonight at PNC Arena. All right, let's get to a wall of sound and then the roundtable.
The wall of sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
We talked about State Wake. It's a game that NC State has traditionally had some trouble with. Not as much trouble in Raleigh as they have had in Winston-Salem. A lot of that is that Wake has been outstanding offensively in the Dave Clawson era. I don't know how good they are going to be against NC State, but they run a very difficult offense to read in that it's like a mesh offense. There's a lot of designed option plays for the quarterback to run or pass, where you go. All of it is very difficult. Dave Doran talked about it.
Yeah, it's really hard to duplicate what that looks like in practice with the scouts. I mean, we've tried really hard, giving it a good shot. I mean, game day is going to be the tell. It's a unique offense, as we all know, and they've got good receivers, quarterbacks playing with confidence. Their running backs run hard. They're doing a good job on offense. I mean, that's not been their problem, and they've had some tight losses, one-possession losses, and they are moving the football. They are possessing the football. They've got explosive plays, so it's always a challenge, and you got to pressure the mesh point, and you got to mix it up, and you got to make plays on the ball, and then you're going to have to tackle in space.
Yeah, and it would help if NC State didn't give up the big play. That's been the problem. When they have struggled, it's because they have given up big plays. If Wake makes some big plays, NC State's going to be in for a fight. If the Wolfpack can eliminate those, I think NC State can win this game going away. I think we're about the time of the year where NC State's got to start being good, legitimately good. All right, to the NFL. Last night's loss belongs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, who played well, lost.
All I care about is wins. That's it. So got to find a way to finish that game out on offense. I was thinking about the first half, missing that shot to Shep. Should have been a touchdown, ended up with 3 points. And I'm just replaying that one over in my head that maybe shouldn't have even been in an overtime situation. So have to make the plays when they're there. And then in the second half, just got to take care of the football and then got to finish on offense.
2 late plays, 2 late opportunities to close it out for Tampa. One, looked like they were driving. They pick up a first down, and the running back fumbles the ball, right? The Falcons didn't get anything out of that drive.
No.
But that's an opportunity because you had some offensive momentum. Maybe you can keep the ball and run the clock out. And then when Atlanta goes for it on 4th and 15 from deep in their own territory and they don't get it.
It's intercepted. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so the interception put the ball maybe another 15 yards further down the field, so you got it at about the 35. And then after a pretty good gain, you have a holding call. They did miss a face mask on the exact same play, so those 2 plays would have canceled each other out, but all of a sudden now you're 2nd and 23, and ultimately you don't take advantage of the turnover, and you have to punt the ball back. Like, those are mistakes. The holding penalty is a mistake. It's an avoidable mistake. You're in field goal range, so at least you can make Atlanta have to score a touchdown. That doesn't always help you, but at least you would have that possibility. And then when you did punt, you can't get deked out by the punt returner who waved fair catch, moved up to like the 12 or 15-yard line, and everybody just watched him. And the ball bounced at the 5.
Right.
Right. So the punter executed his job, and the other players didn't. So you got to be able to locate the ball and recognize where the ball is. And that ball bounced. I mean, it should have been caught by the punt team.
Yeah, that fourth quarter was stupid.
Yeah. So that was a game that Tampa probably should have won, but refused to win. Here's Kirk Cousins, who broke the Falcons single-season passing game record yesterday.
No, I just wanted Matt to be able to have a special night, and be able to kind of enjoy all that he's earned and worked for. He was just so consistent for so long. That's probably above all just I know how hard it is to keep showing up week in and week out, year in and year out, stay healthy and be productive and be consistent. That's who Matt was. And you talk about character, grit, resolve. I mean, he had all that in spades. And, I remember being a rookie and watching him play, and I was just a backup and just trying to almost, study him from the sideline because I admired his game and wanted my game to look like his. And, I saw him. He was walking out as I was walking in at halftime, and I just said, hey, Matt, and kind of grabbed his attention and said, congrats. It's something that it's pretty special. I don't know that I'll have an opportunity to be in a Ring of Honor. So, it's a special deal for him to be able to do that.
Yeah, Ryan goes in the Falcons Ring of Honor.
I know. I thought that was a weird thing.
Couple of games after the owner did.
Yeah. But on his special night, Kirk does that. And I just Googled. Matt Ryan is 39 years old. So him saying, I remember seeing you as a rookie. I thought to myself,
right.
Kirk, you're talking like you're 24 and he's 45 or something. I don't know. I just laughed.
Well, Ryan's 39. Kirk Cousins is like
36.
36.
Yeah. So
I grew up watching you.
I know.
Maybe he was a big Boston College fan back in the day. I don't know. All right, last night around 9:30, this happened. You don't see a lot of or hear a lot of play-by-play guys describing the home run trot. But that's what Howie Rose of the Mets did straight through the congratulations he got from teammates. That was something else last night. Real quick before we break, I also listened to the Brewers call last night. That was Howie Rose on the Mets radio network. The Brewers radio play-by-play is Bob Uecker, who is in his 90s now, and the rumor is that he's going to step away. Bob Uecker is one of the all-time great success stories. He was good enough to be a big leaguer. Was he a bad big leaguer as that goes? Yeah. But he was good enough to be a big leaguer, and his sense of humor and the old Miller Lite commercials and being on, what was it, Mr. Belvedere, right? Was he on Mr. He had a sitcom. One of the all-time great personalities, Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker. But I'm glad the Mets won. All right, when we come back, two of our best friends, Josh Graham, Randy Slack, Roundtable next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Keep pounding. Panther Talk, Panthers Playbook, the Pawprint. Follow your Carolina Panthers all season with us.
Dalton is in empty. Here's the snap. Pocket holds. Andy fires downfield. 1-6. Touchdown. End zone. Center cut. Deontay Johnson.
Your home for complete Carolina Panthers coverage. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
The weather is cooling down. It's time to hop back on the bike. Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. With temperatures dropping, I've been riding my motorcycle as often as ever, but I also know that injuries and accidents can happen. This is where Law Tigers comes in. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company if injured in a motorcycle accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. So many of you have told me about your plans for the future. Starting a business, buying a home, retiring near your grandchildren. But prices are too high. So let me tell you what I will do about it as president. I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of healthcare insurance. We cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I'm running to do that for everyone. And I will provide new down payment assistance to first-time home buyers and tax benefits to people who want to start their own business. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy, whereas I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. Because I know working people want to do more than just get by. You want to get ahead, and that's the future you deserve. And that is what I will focus on every day as your president. Paid for by Harris for President.
Adam Gold here from my friend Dr. Lori Travers at Travers LASIK. If you are a contact lens wearer tired of wasting time and money, Dr. Lori can help. 919-510-6830. Make the call now, 919-510-6830. Free consultation. You can go online, traverslasik.com, and let Dr. Lori work her magic on you. Get rid of contacts and glasses forever. Travers LASIK. See what you've been missing.
At the UPS Store, we understand the importance of a first impression. That's why we're here to help you put your best foot forward and be unstoppable with our printing services. With high-quality paper stock options, banners, business cards, venues, and more, we make sure your small business stands out and your message reaches the masses. After all, we're the one-stop prints that pop store. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today and get your print on.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Lots to do. So let's have some fun with two good friends because that's what we do.
Camelot. It's only a model.
Josh Graham, Sports Hub Triad, my friend, Orioles fan, and Randy Slack, my friend, ESPN Wilmington. He joins us, Bengals fan. I know the Bengals are in Cincinnati, but I don't believe he's a Reds fan. If he is...
what?
Oh, you are a Reds fan.
I did the Reds radio network for like 3 years with Hall of Fame broadcaster Marty Brind'Amour. I love the Reds. Absolutely.
Well, congratulations. You get Terry Francona now.
Tito, very excited for that.
Yes.
We notoriously blame the manager for everything. So now that we have a good manager, it's really going to put the actual baseball players in a lot of jeopardy this year.
Just blame the front office. That's probably where your anger should be directed anyway. Just like in Pittsburgh, I want to see teams try to win, because if you try to win, it's possible you can. It's sports.
They spent some money in the offseason. They did a little. They tried a little bit this year. They've tried from time to time. Castellini likes to, go for it, like when he got Sonny Gray and Trevor Bauer, and then prior to that, when he made a big extension, signing Joey Votto to a $250 million contract and doing some stuff. Then every once in a while they'll do things, but they don't do it consistently. But, hey, getting Tito is very, very exciting. Sorry to hijack the beginning of your segment.
No, it's fine. You don't. I brought it up. You don't bring in Terry Francona if you're not trying to win. Josh Graham, sorry about your Orioles. I know 2 years in a row you've been tweeting through playoff problems, but still think the organization, the team is in pretty good shape going forward. They just need to be a little bit of a little bit more aggressive, and honestly trust the fact that when you have a good team, your fans will fill your ballpark. I don't know it bothers me that they're like worried that they won't be able to compete.
Yeah, and again, people were complaining about the crowd the other day. Here's an idea. If you want to have packed stadiums, maybe don't play at 4:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Congratulations, 162 games, and here's your prize for winning, being the top wild card. You get to play at 4:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday in downtown. But, I guess that's the other option that you left out when talking about the Mets, or talking about the Pirates and Reds, encouraging them to win more. There is the option where you try to win, and then after winning 101 games and 90 games in back-to-back years, you go 0-5 in the playoffs.
Yeah, wait a second. Are you blaming the start time for a poor crowd?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
You're not? I mean, that doesn't factor into this at all. Why? I got news for you.
No, it doesn't. It's a playoff game.
Hey, let me ask you this, Adam.
It's a playoff game. What are you talking about?
Why are we having 5-6-month seasons and every game across baseball, other than getaway games, are scheduled at 7 o'clock? Now the most important game of the year is at 4 in the afternoon. I mean, come on. Like that. It's like when people complain about attendance for Thursday night football games in college football.
Okay, so what's the alternative? Hold on a second. What's the alternative to this? So all 4 games being played at the same time, so people can complain about not being able to watch all of the games. First of all, 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Yes, that's the answer, actually.
No, that's not the answer. We want all playoff games to be able to be watched by all people. Like, are they complaining about this? Where did Detroit just play? Houston. Did Houston fill their stadium at 1 o'clock?
No.
There's still a lot of people there. Come on.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Don't complain about it. Go to the game.
Whoa.
That's not why they lost.
It's fine. I understand why they do it. And again, what you're communicating is great. It's just when people are taking shots at Orioles fans. Hey,
no,
why
I'm not
isn't
taking shots at Orioles fans.
This is why it isn't. I'm just answering the question.
Go fill your stadium. Playoff game. 4 o'clock, man. Cut out of work early. But first of all, the stadium is what does the stadium seat? 40,000?
42,000.
Yeah, it's not like you're filling the Oakland Coliseum, which they never do.
I'm hurt, Adam. I'm hurt.
I understand. And we're not even going to talk about the Mets here. But I was excited to hear that we had Josh and Randy on today. All right, let's get to the Panthers. So let me start with something that I've heard, that there's something extra for Carolina going into play Chicago. Is there anything extra here based on the trade that was made, the worst trade in franchise history? Is there anything extra, Josh, for you for this, or for this team? Forget about for the fans. Anything extra for this team this week?
From the Panthers end of it, no, I don't think there is. From the Bears side of it, yeah, you probably get some of it from DJ Moore's perspective, wanting to do well against the team that, traded him away and was a first-round draft pick. And you and I will just disagree about the fact some say that this is the worst trade in franchise history. I don't think it's the worst trade in franchise history. I think it's the worst pick in franchise history. I think there's a distinction between the two, because if Carolina took CJ Stroud, I'm sorry, I don't believe that Andy Dalton can do all that he's done in the first few weeks, and CJ Stroud would be inequipped to do those things. So Carolina, it's going to be talked about on Sunday. It's going to be a big story. Oh, Carolina, do they regret this trade? All these things. No, they don't. They regret who they took with the number 1 pick to get that this trade allowed them to take.
Didn't the Bears and Panthers play last year? I mean, DJ Moore might still be mad, but I thought he would have taken it out in year 1. Randy, let me just forward the question a little bit. Do you think that Bryce Young was damaged by having to play last year, and would CJ Stroud also have been damaged by playing for the Panthers behind that team last year?
Yeah, I don't think C.J. Stroud would have done. He may have done better than Bryce did, but he didn't have any. He wouldn't have had any of the weapons he has in Houston, which they have a lot of good receivers there. They have better coaching there.
Yeah.
And he would have been worse. Would he have been better this year? There's a really good chance he would have been. I mean, it was a bad situation for anybody to be in at Carolina last year. And yeah, I think CJ would have been just as bad. Maybe not just as bad. I mean, by the way, I'm pretty sure Bryce Young is undefeated against CJ Stroud. So before we even talk about, CJ Stroud being the better quarterback,
yes, he is.
Wins and losses clearly show that that Bryce Young was the correct choice.
And there is a segment of the population that believes that wins and losses are the most important stat for quarterbacks. All right, another Panthers question. I'll start with you, Randy. Trade deadline coming up early November. If you were the Panthers, would you trade Deontay Johnson and or Chuba Hubbard?
I mean, if you can get something for them, I mean, the thing with Deontay Johnson, I'm not sure what Chuba's contract is.
He's free.
Deontay Johnson, he's a free agent at the end of the year. Then, yeah, I think you could look at moving both of those guys. They need as many dudes as possible. And if neither of those guys are on the roster without getting re-signed, then, yeah, get more draft picks. But they don't really have a lot of dudes on the team as it is. So maybe if you have a guy like a Deontay Johnson, if you can get him re-signed potentially, but at the same time, he's getting old for a receiver, and you worry about that stuff. If you can trade for him. But unfortunately, there are better receivers out there in the market that you could get other than Deontay Johnson.
What do you think, Josh? Could you help restock some of the draft capital that you spent?
I think you can, and I think that's actually part of Carolina's plan when they looked at this year's draft. And it's probably a sign, maybe the first sign we've seen under David Tepper, of maybe giving a general manager and giving a regime a little bit of rope, a little bit of leeway. Because when you look at all of Dan Morgan's draft picks in this year's draft, it's pretty obvious, and even Dan Morgan told me earlier this summer, that they were looking at some of the future potential openings on the depth chart with those draft picks in mind. Xavier Legette, you make that pick knowing that Deontay Johnson's going to hit free agency. Jonathan Brooks, you draft in the second round knowing that Chuba Hubbard might be entering free agency. Tommy Tremble, a free agent coming up. They drafted JT Sanders out of Texas. Shaq Thompson, before he got hurt, of course. Trevin Wallace, big role stepping into. They see Trevin Wallace as somebody they can slide right in there into the starting lineup. They thought next year, but having to do so earlier because of the injury. So with all that in mind, yes, you absolutely look at this. If you don't think you can compete in terms of being a playoff team, then you look at this, and I think Xavier Legette's emergence on Sunday as perhaps Carolina's best offensive player on the field against Randy's Bengals, I think that probably gives you some assurances that you can still be functional enough offensively without Deontay Johnson and trading him to get a good evaluation of this roster moving forward.
All right, let me ask you one more Panthers question, Josh. Would you extend Andy Dalton?
Yeah, why not?
As a starter?
No, well, here's Here's the key piece, because I think it's interesting. If the theory is that Bryce Young is just lacks confidence right now, and we haven't seen the last of him yet, there's going to be a point in the season, like Dave Canales 2 games in can make the pitch to his locker room. Guys, we're going to Andy Dalton because he gives us our best chance to win right now. But when you are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, there becomes a point in the season where you say, well, we have to start looking ahead to the future. That's when you reinsert Bryce Young, unless it happens sooner due to injury. And if Andy Dalton continues to perform well up until that point, you might have a scenario where Bryce plays well enough in the final month of a season that your offseason approach is, hey, let's just encourage competitiveness here and have an open quarterback battle between Andy Dalton and Bryce Young for next year, especially if the quarterback class next year does not look good. And as of right now, it really doesn't. So that is an option that I don't think is sexy that enough people are talking about, but one I'd certainly, I think worth having a conversation about.
Best player in the draft might be Travis Hunter, who's a cornerback / wide receiver. As I transition, I want Randy's thoughts on this. In my opinion, any decision made based on trying to win as many games as possible for the Panthers this year is a foolish decision. Randy, would you extend Dalton?
No, I would go and find the veteran quarterback, because there are going to be multiple veteran quarterbacks available. There always are. I would find a guy that Dave Canales wants. If there's a veteran bridge quarterback out there, find the guy he likes and then maybe draft a guy in a late round, because clearly there's no way to know any of these rookie quarterbacks if they're going to be any good. I don't think the college game's developing guys to be good pros. I mean,
they're not.
The proof's in the pudding. Over the last 5 years we've been hearing about it's the 83 draft class over and over again, and none of these guys ever seem to pan out the way they're allegedly supposed to. If I'm the Panthers, I go find the veteran guy. If you find a bridge guy that Dave thinks he can work with, a guy that fits his style, if that's Andy, great. If it's not, cool. And then maybe find a guy in a mid-round, late-round quarterback that you think you can develop over 2 years. Honestly, they need to just take the best guy available, because they don't have any best guys anywhere.
Obviously, the Dalton question was a loaded question for a Bengals fan who's clearly scarred, because it looks like Andy Dalton is the bridge quarterback. But that's fine. I can feel that. I can feel I have already experienced Andy Dalton in my life, and I didn't like it, so I'm just going to deny what appears to be a fairly good performance over the last couple of weeks.
Real quick, Andy Dalton made the playoffs 5 straight years for the Bengals. He did really good for them, but I've always said it, Andy Dalton is an 18 in blackjack. It's pretty good a lot of the time, but you would never put all of your money on Andy Dalton. You would never put all your money on an 18.
Yeah,
Andy's got red hair, and that's a plus too that we need to talk about.
I don't disagree with what you just said there, but as a bridge quarterback, I think he could do a lot worse. That's Josh Graham, Sports Hub Triad at Josh Graham Radio, and Randy Slack, ESPN Wilmington at rslack37. Gentlemen, thank you for making my Friday.
LGM, let's go Mets.
Welcome. Get on the bandwagon. We got 3 more weeks of baseball. Nicke Carboni from Charlotte. We'll talk to him about the Panthers heading to Chicago next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I am Bruno Hinojosa and I live in Asheville. I work in construction and I just enrolled in NC Medicaid. I went to their website, applied, and got covered. Doctor visits, yearly checkups, and even emergency care if I need it. Being a business owner can be stressful at times, but knowing that I got covered, it just takes weight off my shoulders. And I can get the care that I need when I need it at low or no cost. And it's one less thing I need to worry about now.
NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Hard to believe, but we're already here at the main part of Week 5 of the NFL. And FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, ready to celebrate Andy Dalton going up against his former mates from Cincinnati. We're going to get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. Hey, have some fun. Andy Dalton going to throw 9 touchdown passes. The odds on that would be pretty steep. FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to listen to our latest podcast. The CDC recently released data that shows that since the pandemic, our life expectancy has overall gone down. It has declined by more than a year in North Carolina. And it's not just COVID. We're also seeing more overdoses. Cone Health is trying to change that. Dr. Olujegedi says they're taking a multi-pronged whole community approach to helping those in medically underserved areas, with the knowledge that overcoming barriers to good health requires them to work with the community, not just within it.
Cone Health has a healthy calendar for community wellness events in partnership with community organizations in all our service areas.
You can find our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Looking for ideas for your next outing? Join host Deborah Holt-Noel on NC Weekend as we travel the state, from peaceful retreats and thrilling adventures to restaurants and breweries to historic landmarks and family fun. Discover all of North Carolina has to offer, from the mountains to the coast. You'll never run out of things to see and do. Where will your next adventure take you? A brand new season of NC Weekend premieres Thursday, October 3rd at 9 p.m. on PBS NC and streaming on the PBS app.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Psst. Hello there, it's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Panthers are in Chicago this week. Another start for Andy Dalton. This will be start number 3 for the redhead. I know Josh Graham, you just joined us, made a point to say that he's got red hair. He's got a lot of red hair. He is all red. But the from game 1 in Las Vegas against the Raiders through last week, I mean, this is it certainly looks good. The offense looks functional. And my thoughts on this are very simple. I think they probably ruined anything that they could do with Bryce Young last year. And the protecting of him during the preseason did not help. That he needed game reps, even against nobodies, that he needed actual game reps to look, again, I'll use the word functional, during the regular season. The one series against Buffalo, which I will point out, had a couple of things I didn't love, even though they went down the field and scored a touchdown. Because one of the things that I have said about Bryce, whether it was throughout last year, but certainly more so at the end, was that he looked like he started to stare at the rush. And one of the things that really plagued him through weeks 1 and 2 was basically creating your own pressure. Like, even when there was no pressure, he panicked in the pocket. You can't do that in the NFL. One of the things we saw from Kirk Cousins last night, and I am no Kirk Cousins fan, but one of the things we saw from Cousins last night was his ability to stay in the pocket, deliver the ball, and take a hit. We saw that a little bit, I think, in the first half of last year, we saw that from Bryce. But now, with no pressure in the first 2 weeks of the season, it went the other way. Bryce became, terrified in the pocket. Nicke Carboni, CMC. I want to get the whole thing right. I've been staring at your website. WCNC TV in Charlotte joins us now on the Adam Gold Show. You can go to nickecarboni.com. I want to start with Bryce, as you've been around there for the last couple of years. I want to start with what what we saw from Bryce, even though it wasn't good the first half of last year, even throughout some moments last year, the game against Green Bay toward the end of the season, where he looked excellent, they just lost the game, to where we got to in the first couple of games this year and the preseason. How can it go so far south so quickly?
That's a great question, Adam, and thanks for having me. Yeah, the Green Bay game, despite the loss, was definitely the gold standard at this point for Bryce Young's professional football career. The last drive against Atlanta in the rain, in a game-winning field goal drive. The Texans game as well. So when I hear people say there were no flashes, I mean, there were moments that you could build on, and even though he had only 2 wins, they were last-minute drives, and that was good to see last season. So you kind of figured with an offensive-minded coach, a modern offensive-minded coach, new pieces up front and in the middle, new pieces on the perimeter, and Dave Canales, who was a quote-unquote QB whisperer and did not shy away from that moniker, that this would be better. And from what we saw in moments in training camp, he seemed dialed in. He seemed confident. I guess we were trying to see how confident he was and if he had mentally bounced back, mentally turned the page from all that had happened last year. But I think what you saw is when it's live fire, he went right back into that fight or flight, generally flight mode, and is not over some of the things that happened to him last year. 62 sacks, barely a moment to throw, receivers not getting open. We're seeing all of that happen this year with Andy Dalton running the offense. So I think mentally he was unable to turn the page from everything that happened last year. And you're talking about an outlier of a prospect anyway, where even Nick Saban said after Bryce's benching and trying to defend him, well, everything needs to be set up perfectly. That's hardly ever the case in the NFL. And he just was not able to overcome some of those things. And I'm not sure he ever will be able to. And I'm in the camp that it won't, if it does, it won't happen here.
Well, I agree. And I will say this, from the very beginning, I was team Bryce. I thought that, about 75% of the teams were on Bryce Young as opposed to C.J. Stroud. If the Texans had the first pick and the Panthers had the second pick, I think the Texans would have drafted Bryce Young. And I think part of that is the tape that Bryce Young put out there at the University of Alabama. I know he's small, C.J. Stroud is not. But the only reason it was close, it was even a debate for people, was because clearly to them, watching Bryce, he looked the part of quarterback, that he could distribute the ball, that he was cool under fire, all of those things. Like when I talked to Darren Gann of Panthers.com last year, because I suggested maybe midway through the season, wouldn't it be better if we had Bryce sit for a while and let Andy Dalton play? And Darren's response was, the best part about Bryce is his brain as a quarterback. So he'll be fine. He just needs to experience it so he can get through it. I've said this for a while. I think we ruined quarterbacks. Like, Trevor Lawrence might be ruined in Jacksonville. I think there's a fair chance that Bryce Young is irreparably broken by the dysfunction of last year, in which case it makes the trade even worse than the trade already was. I mean, I don't think that's a crazy way of looking at it.
No, I mean, that is one of the biggest investments a team has ever made, to go up to that spot and take a quarterback. So not only do you clearly, in retrospect, take the wrong one, now you look at all you could have still had. You would have still had DJ Moore. You would have had the 9th pick that year. That was Jalen Carter, who's pretty good for the Eagles. You may have been in play for a quarterback this year, Caleb Williams, or not, depending on who you had as the quarterback in the year that you didn't take Bryce Young.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, and Drake May coming out this year. And to your point, we're seeing what some team, like Jaden Daniels appears, I mean, it's 3 weeks, appears to clearly be ready for this.
Yeah.
Drake May, the Patriots, as much as they believe in him, are still going to roll Jacoby Brissett out there until they feel that Drake May is ready. And
Yep.
maybe we are getting back to that approach. And unfortunately, Bryce Young could end up being a poster child for letting a pick, even though he was a Heisman winner, even though he was a star at Alabama and had all the intangibles that you're looking for. Even though you went up to get him, you still sit him. And there was, I don't know how that would have went over here. Not well, because this franchise has screwed up quarterbacks so poorly since Cam Newton that people just were like, yeah, we got our guy, let's see him. And clearly that was not the right approach.
It all depends on the quarterback that you have when you draft the quarterback. So it was easy for the Chiefs to sit Patrick Mahomes because they had Alex Smith playing at a high level. So Mahomes only played his first season. The last game was a star. And then the following season only threw 50 touchdown passes while Alex Smith was in Washington. I think the Patriots are doing the right thing with Drake May because he is also in many ways a developmental quarterback, and they are not equipped to protect him. They don't have receivers. They don't have an offensive line. Sounds strangely familiar, doesn't it? Whereas Chicago is probably risking Caleb Williams because they don't have an offensive line. They have receivers, but it's a dysfunctional, organization anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if they ruin Caleb Williams. Washington is certainly risking Jaden Daniels, but I also think that Jaden Daniels in the preseason basically gave them no choice. He looked too good when he was called on to play in the preseason. So he basically said, I'm ready based on his play. I think you can absolutely do that. Would you consider keeping Andy Dalton around longer than you intended previously? Could Dalton be Carolina's starter next year?
I want to go back to your previous point about who your quarterback is when you draft the quarterback. Well, there he was all along. The red rifle was sitting right there, ready to load. And we have seen that maybe everybody wrote Andy Dalton off a little too early in his career, that maybe he had a little bit left. Like, I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the year. We're obviously not going to get 319 and 3 touchdown passes every week like in Las Vegas. But he has shown a level of above competency that not a lot of people gave him credit for. There he was the whole time. So, he's about to turn 37, so he would be in his 38th year next season. He still looks fit enough. The arm still looks good. The shoulder looks good. Let's see how he gets through the whole season. But I think that this offseason is an opportunity for David Tepper, Dan Morgan, and this organization to show organizational discipline. Just because you have the top 10 pick and need your future quarterback doesn't mean that's where to get him. So I think that having Andy Dalton or another veteran quarterback in here, Geno Smith's been bandied about. I'm not really sure how big of a difference that would be. That's probably the way to go for 2025. And you've got some young pieces you've drafted. We'll see what happens with Deontay Johnson. We'll see if they can hang on to Chuba Hubbard or get somebody that they feel good about in the backfield to run the football. And the offensive line is obviously going to be in place for a while. So I think that's very much in play depending on how Andy Dalton does the rest of the way. And I think that the big thing that the Panthers are trying to figure out now is are we going to see Bryce Young back out there? Like, what's the most valuable time to put Bryce Young back out on the field if we do it at all?
Nicke Carboni, WCNC sports director, TV guy. By the way, go to nickcarboni.com. He's also a writer. He's won a Murrow. He's won, multiple Murrow awards. You said organizational discipline and David Tepper in the same sentence. We have it on tape. We're never going to forget that. What's interesting, and we'll close on this, is that there's a comparison to be made between David Tepper and Tom Dundon. They bought their respective franchises at the same time. Tepper and Dundon each bought their teams in 18?
18, yeah.
And Tepper has exhibited zero organizational discipline, and we see the lack of success. Tom Dundon has exhibited exemplary organizational discipline. They have stuck to their plan throughout, and we see the Hurricanes, trying to make it to the playoffs for a 7th consecutive year. There is something to be said for having a good plan and having the discipline to execute it, and David Tepper just hasn't had that. He's got to get it, and I think he's probably behind the benching of Bryce Young. Doesn't mean he was wrong, but I think he's got to let the football people do their jobs. I just don't think he's ever going to get there.
Well, let's put it this way. If when Tom Dundon said he wanted to bring baseball to North Carolina, everybody said, hooray, Tom Dundon. If David Tepper said that right now, people would be freaked out. What is our baseball team going to look like? How bad are they going to be? What's going to happen with the stadium? So it has been a rough, 6-year ride.
Yeah.
People are still, there are people who start online petitions to get him to sell the team. I mean, he, as far as we know, has not done anything Snyder or Richardson level nefarious to force the NFL's hand there. He is going to be the owner. You just have to hope that he lets Dan Morgan and Dave Canales do their jobs. I do think it was more of a Canales decision than a lot of people are saying because of how he reacts when he is asked about Bryce Young over the course of the last 3 weeks. I think Dave Canales was ready to put that to bed as well. We'll see how it plays out.
By the way, Charlotte FC is doing fine. They're going to make the playoffs, and
2 years in a row.
There you go.
We got that.
So that's David. Who knew David Tepper when he said he's a football guy? He meant the other football. Nicke Carboni, Nicke Carboni, WCNC on Twitter. Thank you very much, man. It's good to talk to you. We'll see. We'll do it again. You got it. Nicke Carboni here on the Adam Gold Show. We completely misread the situation. When David Tepper said he was a football man, he meant European football, not American football. All right. Speaking of European football. Well, no, we're not going to talk about that. But Charlotte FC is they clinched. They're in the playoffs 2 years in a row. We got to get Willie P. Style on to talk about or our friend Jessica Sharman to talk about how good Charlotte FC has been this year under Dean Smith. And by the way, they went through a stretch where they were awful. So there's all of that. All right, are we ready? Are we ready to close out the GOAT? I'm very excited. We are down to 2.
Oh, man. Here we go.
None of this is surprising. All right, so the GOAT, greatest hurricane of all time, GOAT. Down to the finals for the greatest hurricane of all time. To vote, you must be a subscriber to the fan newsletter. Mm-hmm. We have links posted on all of our fans' social feeds. Last week there was a glitch. We fixed the glitch. Okay, so newsletter subscribers who vote also earn a chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Hurricanes take on the Dallas Stars on November 25th. So there's a little bit more incentive for you. Greatest hurricane of all time. We started with 16. We whittled it down to 8. I used whittled. It says we scrubbed it to 8. Then we whittled it to 5. Now we are down to 2. We are fine-tuning. Cam Ward, Justin Williams, Sebastian Aho, they were voted off the island.
Yeah.
All right. We are down to...
Torches out.
Predictably.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Stahl and Rod Brind'Amour.
Yes.
A fantastic duo, and we know how this is going to turn out. But that's okay. Mm-hmm. You never know what happens. You never know what happens when we open the ballot boxes.
Right.
Right? We could have votes tossed out for some crazy reason. We could have people not count. We could have hanging chads. Mm-hmm. We don't know. It is the season for all of that speculation. Voting for this round is now open and runs through October 10th. Today is the 4th. It runs through next Thursday. The opener is Friday when we will announce the greatest Hurricane of all time, who also happens to be the head coach.
Yes.
So anyway,
and we just talked to him today.
And right, the cool thing, and we talked to Eric Stahl a few weeks ago, and Stahl will be honored this year. And Eric Stahl, there's every chance he is going into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Won a Stanley Cup here. He was a great Hurricane, and I hated the way it ended for him because that's not the way he wanted it to end. And it was weird when we talked about it. We talked about him and his brother getting together. Jordan Stahl is going to go into the Hurricanes Hall of Fame at some point. There's no question that he is going to be elected into the Hurricanes Hall of Fame at one point. We'll have half the family hockey players in the Hurricanes Hall of Fame. We should probably put Henry and Linda into the Hurricanes Hall of Fame too.
Should be a Stahl station.
So, look, Eric was such a great player. Rod is the most important person and best player the franchise has ever had.
Yes.
There's a reason why. I remember when he got the job, and there were so many people, well, star players are never good coaches. Okay. It all depends on the star player.
Mm-hmm.
Rod was always going to be a good coach.
He's a great one.
Yeah. We didn't know that he'd be a great coach, but he was always going to be a good coach. But he is a great coach. All right, final preseason home game of the preseason. Tomorrow they'll be in Nashville, 5 o'clock start there, 4:30 Stormwatch as the Canes close out the preseason against Nashville tomorrow. Today, basically the entire starting lineup except for whatever your fourth line is going to be, the Jack Drury line, although Tyson Jost is in the lineup today. And on top of that, no Jalen Chatfield, as we're going to see Scott Morrow likely today and tomorrow. My sense is we'll see Chatfield play tomorrow in Nashville as one of the veteran-level players. But here we go. Meet the Mets.
Just for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was fun yesterday. Thanks to everybody who sent me cool messages. It really was enjoyable to watch playoff baseball. Victoria, thank you very much. See everybody on Monday on the Adam Gold Show.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are attracting new customers this week with a great offer for you, and it's a great week because in week 5, we have games in 4 different broadcast windows because we start at 9:30 in the morning Eastern Time. It is breakfast at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets against former Jets quarterback Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Have fun. You're probably sleep deprived anyway. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit.